What up, everybody? Good morning. Happy Wednesday. DK Show up on the air on your radio dials 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Also available online at sportstalk1051.com. You got your Google and Alexa home devices. The app, Sports Talk app, download that. Take it on the go. Video streams are also up and rolling right now on Facebook and YouTube. Appreciate you making us part of your starts on this October 30th, Halloween Eve. What do we got on a good old game plan for us here this morning? Well, we're going to talk a little green and gold. Packers will return to practice today. We'll get our first glimpse of see if Jordan Love's out there, Jair Alexander, Evan Williams, but also a new player. Jamin Davis, former first-round draft pick just a couple years ago by the Commanders, linebacker who was released this season by Washington. The Packers signing him to the practice squad. Got to imagine at some point, maybe we're going to see him on the active roster in that. But interesting, interesting move bringing him in. Like, here's the thing: I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all. Now, I hope there's not a lot of Packers fans reading the headlines. Oh, former first round pick gonna get a lot of good play, really good play from him, and yeah, just let's lower the bar here a little bit. Okay, let's just lower that a little bit with Jamin Davis. The interesting thing to me, so he's a linebacker, or was a linebacker. I should say was a linebacker coming out of Kentucky a few years ago. But this year, when he was beginning the season with Washington, they actually converted him to a defensive end. He's a little light yet. You know, when you think about defensive ends, you're maybe thinking about, guys 270, 275, somewhere around there. But still, he's listed around 235. So I don't know if Green Bay is still, would they think about him as a defensive end, or they're going to go move him back to linebacker? I mean, I would think with that size, it would be a linebacker. I don't know if Matt LaFleur will. First of all, he's got to be asked it, but I don't know if he will mention that today, or maybe the reporters who are at practice can be able to tell here a little bit. But I like it in terms of depth. Why not? I mean, it's a low risk signing. You're signing him to the practice squad. You bring him on board, see what you got with him. Unless somebody decides to sign him off the practice squad, I would imagine we're going to see him at some point. Maybe not this weekend against Detroit in that, but it kind of reminds me a little bit. Remember when Green Bay signed Jalen Smith a couple years ago? After he was cut from Dallas, stuck around for a couple games in that, but then moved on. I think he went to the Giants after that too. So again, lower the bar just because he's got the first round, tag on him. Don't get your hopes up like it's a big time impact player right away. But I think you could be a little intrigued and a little excited to see what he potentially could do with this team. It's a low risk, potentially high reward type of signing. You go back to his rookie season, 2021, 76 total tackles, 2022, 104, 2023, 89, 2024 or 2023, 2024. He's played 5 games this year, 13 tackles at that new position. 3 sacks in 2023, 3 sacks in 2022, 1 in his rookie season, too. So, yeah, definitely be interesting, curious to see where he kind of lines up here. I think it's still going to be linebacker. Imagine it's still going to be linebacker. So, but speaking of we'll talk some Packers this morning as we get set for that big time showdown against the Detroit Lions coming to town this Sunday. So we've got some football chat coming at you. We're going to talk a little baseball. World Series continues. Yankees picking up an 11-4 victory, although Freddie flippin' Freeman with another home run. Man, this dude Come on now. But the Dodgers jumped out to a 2-0 lead in the first. I was like, oh boy, here we go. But Yankees able to get it back, open with a grand slam. Then they put a lot of 5 runs, insurance runs over there in the eighth. What's up with the dude though? The fan in right field, literally wrestling, trying to wrestle the ball out of Mookie Betts' glove when Betts goes in and makes the catch in that. It's like what's the thought process going through that guy's head? That Yankees fan. Literally, what is the thought process? Like, I'm gonna grab Mookie's glove and try to take the ball out of it. So apparently, this dude, he was spotted at a local bar afterwards, and apparently, him and his buddy. So this guy's a Yankee season ticket holder. He said he knew he would be in trouble, but chose to grab and open Betts' glove nonetheless, telling ESPN that he and his buddy discuss this exact scenario. If a foul ball comes their way, they're going to do what they can to help their team. Quote, we always joke about the ball in our area, he said at a local bar after the game. We're not going to go out of our way to attack. If it's in our area, we're going to D up. Someone defends, someone knocks the ball. We talk about it. We're willing to do this. What? Okay. I guess respect a little bit your passion for your team and you're willing to try to help out your team in another way. But first of all, know the rules too, because it's fan interference. You can get out. So, I mean, what the heck? He also said, I know when I'm in the wrong. And as soon as I did it, I was like, boys, I'm out of here. I patrol that wall and they know that. What the? What? Okay. I guess maybe don't be too surprised from like Yankees fans in that, but he apparently knew what he's doing. I didn't know if it was just like in the moment, sort of thing. Nope. That guy premeditated that thing. Oh, boy, it could be something if the Yankees go on to make this magical run and win this thing, and everybody's going to point back to that. So, I mean, is it worth giving up season tickets for? I mean, would they strip him of his season tickets at that point? I gotta imagine a little bit. I don't know. Patrolling the wall, gotta D up. Come on, dude. Oh my gosh. Oh, hey, at least he owned up to it. I got to give him a little bit of credit there. At least he owned up to it, I guess. So, but we got that on the docket. Speaking of which, Brewers announcing yesterday that pitching coach Chris Hook will be returning to the crew, signing a multi-year deal. This is kind of a bigger deal when the team comes out with a release on this, because usually, yes, teams come out with, like they did with their hitting coaches and that. But to make it a little bit of a bigger deal in terms of their pitching coach and signaling or saying that he's signing a multi-year deal, this is a little bit bigger deal in terms of like, okay, this is an important coach. This is an important person in our organization. So, but yeah, he apparently is signing a multi-year deal to stay with the Brewers. He said, quote, this organization means a lot to me, and to be able to spend the next few years here and almost spend 20 years in this organization is really, really special. It's important that we move the needle. It's important that we develop relationships. It's important that we win. I mean, Chris Hook has last couple of years has talked about potential candidate for managerial jobs, but I don't know. He maybe kind of feels like, or it kind of seems like he's good with just being pitching coach right now. So I think that's a big win for the Brewers. And if you go back to last year, remember too that when they were going through the managerial change, a lot of the players, not just pitchers, but a lot of the other players were inquiring with the Brewers if Hook was going to be staying on. So he's got the respect within that organization too. So hoops wise, we don't have any Bucks games until tomorrow, but the T-Wolves fell to the Mavericks yesterday, so they drop that game going up against Dallas. We may throw a little Hoops chat in here. I don't know if we're to that point yet. I did see some people kind of talking about it a little bit on the socials, which we know can be a dark place sometimes. I was looking at some Packer stuff yesterday. Holy moly! But you're starting to see some of the I don't not necessarily memes, but graphics in that. When you look at Adrian Griffin's record, he was 30-13 when he got let go, and Doc Rivers right now is under 500. I mean, did they make a mistake? At what point do you start to say, did they make a mistake there and not let it ride? It was just like if we flash back, it was weird. You just felt something was a little bit off with the Bucks team with Adrian Griffin, even though they were winning 30-13. Now with Doc Rivers, it's like maybe there's a frustration level of like, why are we winning? I know a lot of Bucks fans didn't want Doc Rivers to begin with, so I don't know. This is just an overall weird situation when it comes to this Bucks team and how they're starting off the season right now. I don't know if that pressure's kind of getting to them a little bit. I hope not, but we'll see. It's Tip of the Cap Wednesday, so all morning long, you want to give a shout out or tip of the cap to anybody? Let me know. Could be pro level, could be local level, whatever the case may be. Who gets your tip of the cap? Maybe some of you want to tip the cap to the Yankee fan over there from last night's game. But hit me up with a text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line 715-830-1912, or hit me up on the socials at DANKASPER, Facebook.com/Casper Sports. So let's get things going here this morning. Let's talk a little bit about let's open it up. We got a few of you already texting in about the green and gold. So I guess you want to talk about your new defensive player, Jamin Davis. So what's on your mind, or what else is on your mind here this morning? Let us know. Hit me up with a text, okay? We'll get things going here. Lead off coming up in just a few minutes. Talk a little football to open up things here. Maybe you're getting ready to go and out to the deer stand. I know it's going to rain in that too, but with this cold front, I think I'm going to have to head out to the woods later this week. Anyways, football talk coming up. It's about that time of year again where we're making our lists of what to get for who this upcoming Christmas season. And this year, maybe think a little outside the box. No more of those same old Christmas gifts. Do your shopping this year with Resonance Branding Company. First of all, you can go to the swag cave and get yourself some Scotty Sportsman swag, some show swag, some podcast swag for the love of the game stuff over there. That link, I can send it over to you if you don't have it. But get yourself some swag and represent the station and the programs here. But otherwise, whether you're an employer looking maybe to get some gifts to all of your employees, this would be a good idea. Bosses out there, maybe get everybody a tumbler, some shirts, or some other swags over there. Or maybe you want to get some shirts and stuff or tumblers made up for some family and friends. Residence Branding Company has something for everyone. And check this, if you order from now until November 15th, you get 10% off when you mention Casper, when you mention my name over there. So you can check out resonancebRandingCompany.com or stop by the shop at 1728 Spooner Avenue, Suite C in Altoona. And don't forget to mention Casper for 10% off your order. Again, that's Resonance Branding Company. So, yeah, good idea. If you're a boss, maybe you want to get some stuff, or maybe, you know what, it's time to get some new shirts for my team, for my peeps over there. Good idea to go check out our good friends from Resonance Branding Company. Just picked up some stuff, ordered some stuff, and I'm wearing one of the podcast shirts right now. So, anyways, let's open up things because a few of you already chiming in here this morning, talking a little green and gold football, plain tea, up and at it early this morning. Good morning, DK. I just want to go on record that I mocked Jamin to the Jamin Davis to the Packers in that draft, so I'm still taking credit for it. Do you think this says something about their view on Quay? I don't know. No, I'm going to say no right now, but I think it's a chance to get some more depth. When Quay comes back, it'll be interesting, I think, to see what the rotation is going to be like, because I think Edgerrin Cooper deserves more reps. Eric Wilson has been playing incredibly well with his opportunities too. So I don't know if it says anything about Quay. Maybe a little bit, maybe just to provide a little bit of protection over there. But I guess never say, Quay, I think has been I think it's fair to say that Quay Walker hasn't played up to the potential that we had all hoped for or that we had all expected from him. He's got ability. He's got athletic ability. It's just, again, is he one of my things with Quay right now, is he in the right position? Again, when we were going through this change in defense, we all just assumed that, okay, he's going to go to a weak side linebacker. And he's been playing mostly inside, like the middle line. So is he in the wrong spot again? And Davis spent a lot of time playing middle linebacker when he was with Washington. So not quite sure. And really too, when you kind of look at some of the pressures that Green Bay's been able to generate going after the quarterback, it's actually been from some of their linebackers or their defensive backs, like McKinney or Keyshawn Nix coming off the edge, and Cooper and Quay Walker going after him. So it's interesting to me. I'm going to be interested to see what their roles. Again, I want to set the bar a little bit low. I want to set it a little bit low because I think a lot of us was like, again, a few years ago, I'll use the example of when Jalen Smith came over. It's like, oh, okay, now we're getting some inside, and he lasted what, a week, couple weeks, was it? I know he played at least a game, but he didn't stick around. So I want to set that bar low, and I don't want to put too high of an expectation on Jamin Davis just because it's like, oh, former first round pick coming over here, going to get better play from the middle linebacker position or inside or linebacker position overall. And then if it doesn't go that way, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. So I want to set that bar a little bit lower. And I don't know if there is anything to it. The fact that Washington tried to make him a defensive end this year. Did Green Bay see something in that where it's like, okay, well, that's something maybe we can utilize, something that we can work with? TBD. I think it is for me right now is TBD. I like the move because why not? I mean, this is the one benefit from when they changed the practice squad rules from a few years ago is now you can add these veterans and such. So why not take a flyer on a former first round pick who's still young? I mean, he's still on his rookie deal. Why not see if you can get something out of him a little bit? So I like the move. I like it a lot. But I'm not right now, I'm not going to expect a whole lot from him in terms of being a producer on the field initially, right away. And you go back to that defensive end thing, and it's like he's still pretty light, and I think especially in that 4-3, you want some bigger dudes over there. So the biggest thing with the trade deadline less than a week away, we all know, I think, or I should say we, I don't want to assume, but I think a lot of us, a lot of Packers fans, a lot of people out there would like to see, we've talked about it, Green Bay going after a pass rusher. And yesterday we saw some teams making moves. And this is still kind of different in the last few years because we didn't have a ton of trades in the NFL, especially during the season. Historically, we've never had a ton of them. But the last couple of years, last few years, we started to see that. Vikings lose their left tackle. So what do? They trade for Cam Robinson from the Jaguars. Ravens added a receiver, Deontay Johnson. And it was right after the news broke that Stephon Diggs tore his ACL and he's out. Remember, Nico Collins still out with a hamstring for the Texans. So part of it, me was wondering, I was like, oh, well, did the Ravens get on that so that Texans didn't inquire about Deontay Johnson from the Panthers? So I'm looking at Houston. It's like, okay, could they potentially, are they going to look at a wide receiver somewhere if anybody's available out there? So I mean, you're seeing, division team making a trade. Vikings, maybe they don't make that move if their records flip-flopped. But they look at it, they're in the division race. They're in a playoff race right now, exceeding a lot of expectations. So they're making a move to go to the postseason. And maybe the same with the Colts too. I mean, they didn't make a trade, but kind of a wild move yesterday with benching Anthony Richardson to go to Flacco. And I think a lot of it had to do, part of it was with what happened with Richardson in the game. Tapped himself out because he was tired. But, you look at the play too, and you look at the Colts. They may see themselves as potentially a playoff team this year. And right now, Flacco might be the best option to get them there. But, back to Green Bay and such, I think a lot of people may be a little surprised that the Lions haven't made a move yet to replace Aiden Hutchinson, but they've been playing really well. But when you look out there too, I don't know, the pickings are fairly slim, I think, in terms of who to go out there and get as a defensive end, as a edge rusher. Max Crosby, owner's already come out and said no. I would be shocked if the Browns traded Myles Garrett. I don't think that's going to happen. So I'm taking, I was thinking about this last night. Like, okay, what are some realistic options? I know Zadarius Smith's name is all over the place, but I don't see that as a potential reunion in Green Bay. It could be completely wrong. Maybe bygones are bygones, but I don't know if I see that one. So I mean, there was, and I'm looking at some potential teams out there, and three names I kind of came up with. Again, I'm trying to find maybe some realistic options out there. Something that, first of all, I don't think Green Bay is going to make a move. but I'm kind of looking at some options out there, and you know, Dietrich Wise from New England. New England, are they going to want to continue to? Do they want to move another pass rusher? Do they continue to want to move guys? Maybe that's a guy over there. He's 6'5", 280. Emmanuel Agba from Miami. Now Miami, they may not want to make a lot of moves, even though they're 2-5. They just got Tua back, and maybe want to try to make a run at this thing. And we know Miami last year towards the end of the season, they lost like almost all of their pass rushers, and they had to keep adding people because of injuries and such. So they may not want to try to move someone over there. What about a guy like Chase Young? He's with the Saints this year. Former second overall pick by Washington. Had that ACL. I think you could say kind of derailed his career. I mean, he got Rookie of the Year in 2020. He picked up that Rookie of the Year in 2020, where he had 7.5 sacks, played in 15 games, but then after that, he's been banged up. Only played 9 games in 2021, 3 games in 2022, or excuse me, 10 games in 2022. No, 3 games in 2022, and then 7 with Washington in 2023, and 9 with San Francisco in 2023. So the most sacks he's had has been 7.5 in his rookie year. This year he's got 2 so far. I don't know if that could be an option over there too, but I just there's like not that one like, oh yeah, that's the perfect solution. That's the perfect solution. So, but I don't see a thing happening. Like, I know there were some people online saying, you trade Van Ness. I mean, you can't unless you want to be in salary cap, take a lot of dead money. That you're not going to trade Lucas Van Ness first round pick in a second run in the second year, halfway in the second year. Contract wise, that doesn't work out the greatest for Green Bay. You're going to be taking on some dead cap hits over there, and I get it. People don't really care about dead cap hits and such, but sorry, teams do for the most part. They pay attention to that. They don't want to take on a lot of dead cap hit and try to, be handcuffed by the situation of a ton of dead cap hit money. So yeah, you move on from him. You're talking about $14 million in dead cap space at this point, and that's the other thing though too is like, okay, you take on the dead cap space, but you got to take on contracts of whoever you're acquiring over there too. So it's a double-edged sword. Preston Smith might be the guy that you kind of look at if there was going to be a veteran, if there was going to be a guy that I think Green Bay maybe potentially looks at trying to move, whether it's a veteran or such. You look at Preston Smith. Maybe that's a guy that you could potentially move because you can get off of his contract for next year. But I don't know, and his name's been mentioned out there too as a potential candidate to be on the move. So who knows? Who knows at this point? Again, I don't think Green Bay is going to make a move. I don't think they're going to make that move. It's not. I should say it's not Green Bay's DNA because I think that has changed also in the last couple of years, last few years. I think that's changed with Goody. Now Goody's made trades where he's sent people packing, but at what point I think it's still where a lot of people just kind of lump Goody into a Ted Thompson category, and really there's not a ton of similarities. There's some, no doubt about it. There is some, but he's not an exact clone. Like if this was Ted, we probably wouldn't even talk about this because we know it's not happening. Right? I mean, if and I don't want to rag on Ted. I don't want to rag on Ted Thompson by any means, but we can look at the differences here, and I think sometimes we're still kind of stuck in that mode as fans of like, yeah, they're not going to make a move because they never have. Well, they never did during Ted Thompson. That doesn't mean that they're not going to during Goody. Or, because we've seen him, yes, trade off players, maybe to get some picks in return. We've seen him also acquire players as well. So this year, a lot of those trades and those acquisitions have kind of worked out for Green Bay. Do they look at this again and be like, okay, we got to get better here? Who can help us out? Who can help us get better at this position at this point in time? We're in a tough division. It's going to be a dogfight. It's going to be a grind to get here. If we want to get a home game, we got to win that division. And right now, it's going to be tough to do. If they want a home playoff game at Lambeau Field in January, it's going to be tough. And they may have to try to improve that roster to do that. I don't know who's out there realistically that Green Bay would target, and you feel like that's a big time difference maker. All right, let's regroup here a little bit. We're going to take a quick break. Continue to send me your thoughts. Hit me up with the text 715-830-1912. We'll take a quick break here, and then we'll get things going here again. We'll continue our football talk as well. We got plenty of other stuff going on, baseball, hoops. We'll hit it all up coming up in just a little bit. deer hunters this season, if you're looking for somewhere to maybe take your deer, if you're not sure where to get it processed, take that stress out and head to our good friends at Mike's Star Market, the west side of Eau Claire. Check out their Facebook page for all the details and prices and options to get your deer made. And don't forget, too, they are your deer donation site. So if you got a deer, but the freezer's full and you want to help out some peeps over there, Mike's Star Market is the only deer donation spot in our area. Also, you get some freeze-dried candy over there, too, if you want to pass out some of the candy to the kiddos for trick-or-treating tomorrow nights. Want to go a little bit of a different route over there? You can see my Facebook page posted up a couple of photos, different options that they have over there too. So, but they got, freeze-dried candy, a lot of different types of freeze-dried candy over at Mike's Star Market for your sweet tooth to try. Also, just a quick note, couple notes. First of all, I want some feedback. I'm thinking about doing a newsletter like every Friday, kind of a wrap up one. Should I? Yay? Nay? I don't know. Thinking about it. Everybody's doing newsletters. I don't know how I'd do mine differently. No, I'm thinking about it. So, give me some feedback on that. Also, if you go to my Facebook page, coming up on Friday for our Friday podcast episode, Brandon and I usually sometimes do a top 5 plus, and I posted up a question. Anybody who answers, I'll give you shout outs on that episode of the podcast and with your answers. But looking for our topic for our top 5 plus for Friday is going to be top quarterback / head coach combos of all time. This is just in your opinion. This is in your opinion. So we got some good ones over there. I was curious if anybody would have the same as me, and so far, no. Of all the responses that we've got on Facebook or on Twitter /X, nobody's gotten the same one as me so far. We've gotten close. There's been a couple that have gotten 4 out of 5. I'm not telling you what my top 5 is yet. You gotta listen to the pod on Friday, but nobody's gotten mine. And no, I don't have anything from the 40s like Arnie Herber and Curly Lambeau. I'm not going to do that. Not going to do that. I'm going to keep it Super Bowl era. Yeah, I'm going to keep it Super Bowl era. But I thought mine was pretty generic. My top 5, but I haven't matched it up with anybody yet. So maybe that'll change. Got time. Got a couple days yet, but don't text me your top 5s. Nobody has yet, but don't text it. Go on the Facebook page or hit me up on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter and send me your top 5, and then I'll make sure to shout you out on the episode of the podcast when it drops on Friday. So it's kind of a fun little topic debate. Obviously, there's a lot of the same ones that everybody's kind of chimed in with. A lot of usual suspects over there, but kind of interesting that nobody, I don't have the same as anybody's yet. So, all right, let's catch up on a few texts here this morning on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. We've got C-Bomb saying it's National Candy Corn Day. Easiest way to eat candy corn. Open the package and throw it directly in the toilet and flush. Skip the middleman. Who eats that crap? Halloween tip for buying candy for tomorrow. Oh, I hope nobody's got to buy candy yet. Do not give kids candy corn. Would you trade Van Ness and Wicks for Myles Garrett and a third? You hit a good point. Didn't consider the dead cap. Be honest, I don't even think the Browns would take that deal. Myles Garrett and a third for those two. I don't think they would even take that deal. A couple more here. We've got Sean. Sean's texting in here this morning saying, I agree with you. Intrigued with the Davis signing. It's a low risk, potentially high reward signing. Not expecting a whole lot, but it would be pretty cool if the Packers hit on a former first rounder and kind of resurrected his career. Another texter, no name, can't give you any credit over here. But they're saying definitely would love to see the Packers add a pass rusher before the trade deadline. Not going to happen. But but definitely is number one on my wish list. Surprise us all this year, Goody. And another texter here, Eric, also saying he wouldn't mind the Packers looking into bringing over Chase Young. Huh? What else is on your mind? Hit me up. Okay. Well, we'll get back to a little football talk coming up here a little bit later on. World Series will continue. The Yankees picking up a win yesterday. Last night, 11-4 over the Dodgers. So the World Series continues. We won't have a sweep at the hands of the Dodgers, but Freddie Freeman, I mean, this dude, home run in each of his games so far in the World Series. Man, we got another game tonight in New York. Can the Yankees, can they extend this thing? Or continue to extend it, I should say? Will the Dodgers pick up the W tonight? Looks like we got Jack Flaherty going up against Garrett Cole in this matchup. Will Freddie Freeman hit another home run? I know in our picks and predicts yesterday, I was like, yeah, no, that ain't going to happen. Oh, dude did it again. So, like I said yesterday, I don't know how I came upon it, but I was scrolling through some videos and such. And I mentioned it yesterday, so I don't know if and this popped up afterwards. Like Freddie Freeman just seems like he's a guy that you can root for. I know, Dodgers and that, but personality and the type of person, Freddie Freeman seems like he's a guy that you can root for. And I ran into it randomly popped up into my feed this video about him and his dad. And it was pretty powerful, awesome story between him and his dad, and how Freddie Freeman kind of saved his dad's life with some heart issues and some health issues, and ended up going to the hospital. And that particular night, I think Freddie was only 12 years old. If his dad didn't go to the hospital, Freddie Freeman would have been parentless, and just the relationship he has with his dad. And so it was like, wow. But Freddie Freeman's a guy that I can root for. I don't care if he's with the Dodgers or anything like that. Just seems like he's a cool dude. Yeah, looks like his mom died when he was 10. And then his dad almost died when he was 12. Gosh. Man. Yeah, but tonight we got game 5 with the World Series. Send me your picks. Who do you got going here? You think the Yankees are going to wrap this thing up? It's not the Yankees. Dodgers going to wrap this up, or can the Yankees continue to push this series and extend it all the way to a game 7? What you got? Hit me up. Okay. Also, we're going to talk some hoops coming up here in just a little bit too, as we get set for the Bucks tomorrow night. But the Timberwolves fell last night. Bucks fans, I know yesterday I was kind of asking, where's your frustration levels and all that. What if you could change one thing right now with this Bucks team, or maybe redo something, or go back in time in the last year and a half, and you could redo something, a move that they made? Would it be maybe not trading Jrue Holiday and not bringing over Dame and just running it back with Holiday and Giannis and Middleton? Would it be keeping Coach Bud? Would it be keeping Adrian Griffin as head coach? So think about that for a little bit, Bucks fans. Is there was something you could adjust? There was an adjustment you can make with this Bucks team, or maybe go back in time and not do this move, where you believe if they wouldn't have done this move, maybe this Bucks team would be in a little bit of a better spot. If you feel like they're in a tough spot right now, where things aren't looking that great, if there was one of those moves, those are, I think, kind of the 3 main ones. Keep Holiday, keep Bud, keep Coach Adrian Griffin. Which ones? Which ones would you maybe rather have seen if you are or maybe you're a Bucks fan that's A-okay with all the moves right now, and you're not ready to jump off or freak out or push the panic button at this point in time. You're not ready to do that. The thing is, too, is like if this Bucks team continues to struggle, I don't think John Horst is going to fire Doc Rivers. It's not going to be like last year with Adrian Griffin. think they're going to ride it out. I really do. I mean, they're paying a ton of money to some coaches out there. I don't know. I don't see the Bucks doing that. I know they got Darvin Ham on staff, who a lot of the current Bucks players really like, but I don't know if they would make that move. I don't see that. Could be completely wrong, but maybe riding with the Doc Rivers train all season long here. Or maybe that other move is like moving on from Bud earlier and promoting Darvin Ham before he went to the Lakers and took that job. So what's maybe the one move, if you're a Bucks fan, from the last couple of years that you would redo potentially? So what is that? Is that my voice?
I was hearing what you were listening or what you guys were talking
I
about.
was like, do I have an echo?
No, I was listening. I was trying to see what you guys were talking about. And on the Bucks note, I had this question for you because I was actually going to bring this up. They're not doing so great right now. What do you think of the Does? What do you think of bringing back a WNBA kind of to join the Bucks here in Wisconsin? And even though it lasted for literally a year the last time they tried it, do you think we're in a place now where that's a different page?
Bring them back and trade for Caitlin Clark.
That's your goal?
Yeah.
That you got the playbook already. Somebody should ask you.
Just trade all your draft picks for Caitlin Clark.
Okay, so would you be on board though with it? Do you think Wisconsin is there? Do you think we're there to embrace a WNBA team right now?
Yeah. Yep, I do.
And give me a timeline if you had a best guess, like within the next 5? Or is that too accelerated?
The thing is, I don't know if Milwaukee would be the next team on compared to the other cities that were listed on there.
Yeah.
Maybe 10.
Of the cities listed, who do you think's got the best shot?
I think Philly was listed on there.
Okay.
I'll have to look it up, but I thought Philly was on that list, and I just wonder if Philly, bigger city, bigger market,
right?
Sort of thing over there. So let me see if I can find what the WNBA cities are.
But even with you think WNBA, getting more grounding, more attention, that kind of thing. But when you're talking about expansion and franchise teams, sometimes the population thing, for instance, we were talking about this. To me, the Jaguars are still a new team. They're not. But, the ones that get recently added, it takes a while for your brain to wrap around the fact that you still call them new.
Mm-hmm.
And looking into the stands, they had some open seats in Jag Stadium. Now, they're also investing billions in a new stadium. Like, why does that happen? That stadium's not that old.
Right.
And they're already rebuilding. It's like, well, maybe the fan base isn't there to support something like that. Have you looked at that?
Well, some stadiums are actually taking seats out now, too.
Yeah. I mean, we don't have that issue here in Lambeau, obviously. No. But so population doesn't always support that you're going to automatically have a fan base.
Philadelphia, Austin, Texas, Kansas City, Miami, Central Florida, Nashville, Charlotte, Denver, and potentially Cleveland.
See, you know who jumps out there for me? Austin. Because Austin's got this weird little biodome around it in Texas. I mean, and I think that the motto for Austin is keep Austin weird. But Austin does this thing where they get really Austin centric. Like whatever comes out of Austin, everybody rallies behind because they just have like this city pride that permeates a lot. So I'm thinking Austin would be one. And again, not population based, but passion based.
And I think I don't know how much would factor in stadium wise too, like current stadiums.
Sure. You have to get into the logistics. Yeah. It can't all be, wide net, big brain ideas. You have to get into actually the nuts and bolts and the numbers of it, I'm sure.
Right. Exactly. So like using NBA facilities and such, which I look at the NBA cities at that point.
Yeah. But look at the Deer District. Pfizer just did an upgrade and they've got, I think they have
that's
the
what I'm
facility for it. And so maybe we are a better fit for it.
Philadelphia, Miami, those type of teams over there. So.
Would be kind of fun to see though in Wisconsin.
Oh, I'd be all aboard about it. Yeah.
When was the last they did the dose for like a year? Was it? I don't even remember what year.
Oh gosh.
But it was a bit
I know
ago.
I wasn't around.
No, it was pre us. I'll say that for sure. So candy corn day, by the way.
I was just gonna bring that up. Are you a candy corn person?
I know this is a polarizing thing. Yes, I am. I'm a candy. Are you a not?
Yeah, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not a big candy person to begin with.
So when it comes to candy corn day today, though, because I know some people are a hard no on candy corn. Do you know it originally was not called candy corn? You know what it was originally called?
What?
Take a guess.
Oh,
it's a quiz.
Seconds.
It's an actual question.
What it was called?
Yeah, it had a name before we called it candy
wax
corn.
Wax teeth?
Chicken feed. Or chicken scratch.
Okay, that makes sense.
There you go.
Yeah, all right.
Not wax teeth. But now that you say that, I'm never going to look at a bowl the same again.
Wax teeth.
That's kind of gross.
It is, though. It is. Second hour on this Halloween Eve, October 30th, begins right now. What up, everybody? Hopefully you're all off to a absolutely fantastic start here this morning. We're going to get back to some football talk a little bit later on here. We've got some hoops talk lined up. World Series continues. Game 5, 2 nights. The Yankees extending it last night, thanks to an 11-4 victory. Freddie Freeman, though, another home run. 4 straight games with a home run in the World Series. So Yankees will try to keep extending this thing. Dodgers will try to close it out tonight. It is a tip of the cap Wednesday. If you want to give a shout out to anybody or anything out there, whether it's at the pro, college, prep, local, whatever the case may be, text us and we'll give them that proper tip of the cap shout out here this morning. So got that lined up. And yeah, like I said, we'll talk a little football coming up. We'll get back to talking about a little football a little bit later on here this morning. I guess, you know what? Might as well ask you, like the Cam Robinson trade there, Lucas, to acquire, get your new left tackle?
I think so. I mean, I know he hasn't had the greatest tenure in Jacksonville, but again, I keep citing him because I subscribe to the free version of the Substack, so I get the previews. Judd Zulgad said, like, this is the sort of thing that Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah had to do if you're going to try to compete, given the seeding right now for the NFC. At this point, you can start to pay attention to that stuff. They'd be the 6th seed right now with a pretty decent record, even though the defense has done a 180. And then, of course, the Darisaw thing happens. They think they can do something here and not rebuild anymore. Like, if we've talked a lot about what Adolfo-Mensah said, his goal was a competitive rebuild. I think you can start to put the rebuild part aside and say that they are trying to be competitive, even if, as we've said before, like, this is probably not anywhere close to a Super Bowl team. They want to build on this for the next few years where ostensibly J.J. McCarthy becomes that guy. So this year, to try to build on that, you want to have some offensive line help. No Christian Darisaw. That sucked straight up. That was very bad when he went out. That's one of those where you go, okay, season's done, because he's that good. Well, they found a taker for a 4th round draft pick. Not a bad move. The other guys that would shuffle around, they're decent to varying degrees, but that's not the sort of folk you want as a left tackle. I know David Bakhtiari had been mentioned very briefly as, could they break? No.
I think the fact that Bakhtiari is still out there tells you exactly what teams think about his injury and not willing to bring him in. Bakhtiari, that career's over with.
Correct.
It's done.
It's a name, and this is not a knock on him, but nope. It's like it's like, could we trade for Johnny Unitas in 1973? Like, no, you don't want that.
With left tackle being the premium position, and he's still out there, his name, he's done. Right. He's not playing anymore.
And Sam Darnold needs to have time to get the ball off. He can with a little extended periods. If not, he very well may start to approach primo New York Jets era Sam Darnold. You don't want that if you think you've got a shot to do something. Okay, look, I'm sure the Vikings front office probably thinks, I mean, if Darnold keeps going the way he is with the weapons of God, we've got TJ I'm speaking as them. We have TJ Hawkinson coming back. We got some issues on defense right now, but if we can work this out over a little bit of time, some teams are figuring us out right now. So how does Brian Flores adapt to that? Or is it the personnel and there's nothing really they can do? I'm also kind of glad that they made a move. I liked when NFL teams do this. I like to see that the trade deadline, and I'm getting bigger picture here, but I like that the trade deadline is becoming.
Yeah, it's something that's changed over the last few years, right? I mean, it never used to be a thing, and now it's like, oh crap, okay, here we go.
It's almost starting to outdo the NBA, which is supposed to be legendary, and so many teams of late have been like, we're good, even though they're not. So
baseball's still one, right?
Of course,
baseball's one. Is the NFL 2 now?
It's still the NBA. I think the what's going to probably
NHL. Where do they factor into this thing?
They're 4th, but that's because
nobody gives a rip.
It's not quite that, but it hasn't become like a day you circle on the calendar. I'm usually surprised at how late it is in the season. But I would say the NBA will probably always lock into the 2 spot, like baseball, even when it's have not, by the way, I don't know if you've seen it. I keep meaning to Google it. Ratings in the World Series thus far. But even if the decline of baseball in society, but still the trade deadline's the trade deadline for them. But the NBA has a big advantage, structural advantage over the other sports because it's so individual oriented. So you can highlight one player and how that player could, I mean, you're not going to have a trade that's going to single-handedly take a lottery team to an NBA Finals favorite. Those happen in the offseason. That's free agency, and that's why NBA free agency is such a big, big, big deal. You could make a case that NBA free agency is bigger than NFL free agency because of the implications of the move, even if the NFL is big because of what the NFL is. But the NBA, I think, is locked into number 2. NFL's 3 and ascending. But that's like going from a distant third to a relatively close third, and I think it peaks at a certain point because most teams aren't going to have a big, like the Matthew Stafford trade. Like, okay, that would be a big deal. That's not going to happen mid-season.
Yeah.
No.
Timmy, Charlotte Gable, shout out, happy birthday. Tip of the cap, Ma Gable, happy birthday over there too. So that's a good one. I like that one. Keep those coming. Text them on over. By the way, if you guys, anybody wants to be on a nice little health kick and you want to be just like Aaron Rodgers, he's got a new drink for you. Water and cayenne pepper, apparently. This is what's ridiculous. It's on NFL.com. This stupid thing. Aaron Rodgers has a new elixir he hopes helps turn back the clock, is the write-up. It's literally from his punter, Thomas Morstead. Water and cayenne pepper. I will take the bullet, and I'm going to try this tonight.
2 cups 7 times a day?
Is it?
No, you get
I don't get it.
The 2 cups 7 times a day. 2 and 7.
2 and 7.
New York.
Oh,
Jets.
okay. I thought they're 2 and 6 though.
Okay. So, well, I'm just jumping ahead to after Thursday.
Okay, there you go.
I saw 2 and 7 somewhere. I was like, wait, they got that bad that fast? Even I was a little confused, but I did see a 2 and 7 on like ESPN. Okay.
Probably because they're going to lose to Houston. So, but who knows? That no Diggs and no Nico Collins. Who knows too? So.
That's a good point. I will say, hot like water cayenne pepper. I've had a variation of that, but if I have a cold, like if you have like hot tea with lemon and cayenne pepper and you've got a really nasty cold, I mean, that's good to like clear up your sinuses or unstuff your nose. Now, how healthy is it? I think cayenne pepper is actually healthy for you. So yeah, it is. Like, I don't really see a downside. This isn't exactly cinnamon challenge from a few years ago.
Like, who tries this crap? Like, who comes up with this crap? That always just like boggles my mind. Hey, I'm going to try cayenne pepper and water just to get me feeling younger.
Someone must have read something about this, and this whomever led it up to the Jets to say that. Like, I mean, I guess we had to find out about great properties for other things over time. Someone had to discover it somewhere. I mean, look, if it makes you healthy, good. And I'm not being snarky. If it makes you healthy, go for it. It may not taste that great, but then a lot of things.
So yeah, I'm gonna try to attempt that tonight. We'll see how it goes.
Dan Casper water cayenne pepper challenge.
Yep, it's gonna be a thing now. Gonna be a thing.
So Bob Bosel's going to be doing the show tomorrow morning.
I apologize, everybody. So if he actually even shows up, yeah. Hey, I want to ask. So we mentioned this in the first hour. I'll throw this out as a question. Would you do exactly what this Yankees fan did last night in the World Series? Did you know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
Did you hear he talked to ESPN?
No. What did he say?
Oh, this is even better.
I think I saw a summation of the quote, but I didn't hear the actual quote.
So he was at a bar after the game because why not? But essentially, he's a season ticket holder. Yeah, exactly. Said he knew he would be in trouble, but chose to grab an open Betts glove nonetheless, telling ESPN that he and his buddy often discuss this exact scenario. If a foul ball comes their way, they're going to do what they can to help their team. Quote, we always joke about the ball in our area. We're not going to go out. We're not going to go out of our way to attack. If it's in our area, we're going to D up. Someone defends, someone knocks the ball. We talk about it. We're willing to do this. When it comes to the, I love that he's like, we're going to D up on this. We're going to do whatever we can to help our team. He went on to say, I know when I'm in the wrong, and as soon as I did it, I was like, boys, I'm out of here. I patrol that wall, and they know that.
Wow.
First of all, he's an idiot.
Yeah.
Second of all, I appreciate his enthusiasm, and I appreciate his willingness to man up and like take accountability for this. The fact that this was premeditated, that they've talked about this, that they knew they were going to do this, and they still did it, I kind of have to give them a little bit of like cred. Like, okay, you guys actually talked about doing this, and you did it. So, all right, a little bit of cred there. You're still an idiot. You're still an idiot. You did it at the biggest stage, too. This isn't just like game 75 on a Tuesday afternoon or whatever. It's game 4 of the World Series.
Could have potentially swung it to a different team. That
Right.
There's millions of dollars of implications to this, but potentially, and it wasn't. But
the other factor is here too. I don't know if he understands the rules because there is a thing called fan interference. So it would have been it out. Like, I don't know how much you're actually helping your team. But hey, D up and you patrol that wall, man. You patrol that wall.
I guess if you're going to be a total jerk about it, that's probably the best way to go about it. If you see what I mean by that, like it's still like, yeah, you did the wrong thing, but you did have an intent. Just like, oh my God.
What would you do, fans, to help out your favorite team? What's that line? So essentially, let's call it, this guy's going to lose his season tickets, right?
Lifetime ban. He's never getting into Yankee Stadium.
It's not going to happen. He's going to lose his season tickets.
Yeah.
Unless somehow the Yankees go on a run and they kind of credit this guy for doing it. That'd be weird.
He'd be the grimace of the Yankees.
Right.
If you know the Mets story, for anyone listening.
What would be that line where you would go to potentially help your team? Would it be something like, here's my scenario. I'll throw one out for football. Okay. Your team's your team's on defense. You're holding a 5-point lead in the Super Bowl. Okay. But the opponent's driving. They're getting in the range. They're in momentum. You can just tell they're in momentum. And you got to do something to stop this. You run out on the field. You become a streaker. You slow that momentum down. You're going to go to jail. But you know what? Your defense got a little bit of an extra break. And it ends up working. Your team wins the Super Bowl. Is it worth it then? Would you do that?
That is a wild thought. Absolutely wild. You're the reason why, because you become part of the lore.
Yeah.
Would
you be willing to go to jail to become part of a lore?
I'm going to make a kind of an odd analogy here, but this kind of makes sense. Like, if you have like in a movie or like a music video and you see like something really cool get destroyed, or I think of like, remember Faith No More Epic? What is it? And at the end, like there's that fish that's dying. And I don't know that it actually did die, but I'm like, that's terrible. And then I think about it after a while. And I'm like, do you realize the implications of that? Like that fish died for this look of a music video that's memorable 34 years later. I'm pulling one example out that I was thinking about recently because I heard it on the radio. 92.9 DX, shout out sister station. And sometimes you do something that you never would do in life because it's actually going to give more value further down the road because of a higher profile or something like that. Now, I mean, you don't extend that to like the nth degree of like, let's kill somebody to make it. Like, no, you never do that. But see what I mean? Like something that should be in and of itself bad, but down the road, it ends up being much more of a pro than a con. So running out on a field and having a jail sentence, having that on your record, but you're not doing anything else. It's not like you're now going to start robbing places. You got that. You're never going into an NFL game, but your team won the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
No one can take that away from you, to use the sports cliche. It's kind of true.
You may be on NFL Films.
You might.
You might be.
Join Dan Casper on NFL Films.
That's right. I got to get that IMDb page up, man.
You are. I mean, you are on there. Not as a naked streaker. I know. It was for way better reasons.
Somebody who's tearing up. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. gosh, that's an interesting point. I mean,
what would you do as a fan? That line to help your team out, potentially help your team out.
I mean,
Let's not get crazy here
Right.
either, people. You know, that's,
and despite my saying that, which I'm sure most people don't really think of that, they're like, but still, but if you really think about it, it's kind of true. The analogy I was just mentioning. I'm too much of a by the book type that I would never ever do anything like that. Like I'll tell you right now, nope. Let them settle it on the field. If I were in that Yankees fan position, try to think, well, what would you do if suddenly Mookie Betts is running right towards you? The ball is coming down towards you. All of that is all happening at once.
here's my thing. Why didn't, instead of like trying to take it out of his glove, if he was really about D'ing up and protecting that wall, I love those quotes. Dikembe Mutombo it, swat it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, even if you can't reach over there that far, use your body. You know, sacrifice the body of you and others and just swat that thing. I know it's still going to call out, but come on.
Yeah.
That at least would actually maybe cause a little bit of, you know.
Or smart approach. Not saying this guy is stupid. Well, you know.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. But the smart approach, now you have to really think this through. I mean, if you're thinking of D'ing it up, here's what you do. You see the ball coming. You see Mookie Betts coming. You look, you see the ball coming, and then somehow you start to lean a bit, and then you accidentally kind of lose your balance. You lose sight of it. Like, oh gosh, I felt that. Oh, well, I was looking for the ball. What? Well, it's not fan interference. He just slipped, but he got in the way of Mookie Betts, but it wasn't his fault. Well, it's kind of flopping without flopping. You don't get kicked out of the game because you weren't looking at the ball. You weren't trying to grab it, but you also blocked Mookie Betts from getting the ball. That's the smart approach to doing that. I would not, but like we said, that dude did not think of that. I'd be in shock if I were right there, but also I probably wouldn't have season tickets on the wall. If you have season tickets on the wall right there, right at the front, you're used to that sort of stuff. You're used to players. I mean, not that they're always running up there, but you're in foul territory. That in and of itself leads to a fair number of players running over there. So you get used to that. Like I'm imagining right now, Mookie Betts running up towards me in the World Series. And I'd just be like, I'd be frozen.
Well, it's kind of like it's not to this degree, but this is the second time now we've talked about fan and pro player interaction with the Lambeau Leap dude last week.
Yep.
You know, protecting that wall over there, you know, D'ing up. Like, you know, there's one person I could see having I'm going to just say idiocy to do this, and that would be Seabaum.
Yeah,
I
probably.
could see Seabaum doing this.
All right, Seabaum, if you're listening, to what degree would you?
I could see him running on the field. He would be like, you know what? This team needs me. This defense needs a break. It's no huddle. I gotta slow this thing down. I'm gonna run on the field and just do it. I'm gonna do it.
We're gonna take it a step further. And yeah, like the grab is one thing. I get it. Like people are reaching for if you're reaching for a ball, there's a certain element of like, are you watching that coming down? You're not necessarily watching to see if a player is coming. Like you should probably see the player running at you, but there is a baseball approaching. It's pretty hard. You also kind of want to catch it because there's a baseball coming. So there's like both the fear of I don't want to get hit by a falling baseball, but I also want to catch a foul ball. And there's a person running towards you. There's three really big things all happening at once. If that's happening in the field of play, or sorry, in the stands, it is more of a gray area. Like if he doesn't like try pulling it out, he's not getting kicked out and probably banned for life. You know what? Probably watch. He won't get banned for life. We're all assuming that, and it's probably not going to happen. But Seabaum goes so far as to lean out over the railing. Do the, oh, whoops, I fell into the stands and I blocked him from catching a foul ball. Oh, darn. So the Brewers in their next in the next pitch get a base hit.
You're Dikembeing the flopping now.
Yep. Would
you're Vlade Divac-ing.
Seabaum, would you do that if you're listening? Is he in like Zion right now or something like that?
He was texting a little bit earlier, so I don't know if he still is or not. So
he's probably got his own satellite or something. Yeah, well, like, and that's another question. Like I was saying about the accidental, like, oh, I got hit by the ball. I didn't see it coming. And you interfere without giving any indication that you knew. Well, the opposite of that is flop your way onto the field of play. which is very obvious, but that still screws up the road team.
Right. Yeah, he's an idiot. But the thing is,
wait, Seabaum or the guy?
No, the Yankee guy. Well, Seabaum can be too at times, but he's an idiot. But I do appreciate the fact that he embraced it. He acknowledged it. I can't believe that this was premeditated and they actually did it. Because how many times? I don't know if you've done this, but me and my buddies, whether it's in college or this day, we'll talk stupid. We'll sit there and be like, "Oh yeah, do this," but then when the opportunity presents itself, we all chicken out.
Oh yeah,
like I would love to sit here and say, "Oh God, yeah, I ain't want to do that." I'd chicken out in a second.
Oh yeah,
I would chicken out in a second.
It's easy to imagine it versus actually be in it. Everybody fantasizes about being in one of these scenarios or in any sort of big scenario. It depends on whatever your thing is. But like if it's sports, hitting the game-winning grand slam with 2 outs, down 3 in Game 7 of the World Series. Well, yeah, so fun to think about that.
Mm-hmm.
You actually do it?
Or maybe the other part too is like running out when there's like a field goal, last second field goal,
right?
Somewhere out there.
Could you really actually do that?
Mm-hmm.
It's just something like that. Like, this is the moment. There, you got one. Quote Eminem: "You only got one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow." I mean, that's what it.
Sacrifice going to games for legacy,
and that's one of the biggest questions with this. Depends on how much you love the Yankees. If in this guy's case,
see, I think you also have to factor in a situation. You ain't winning the World Series now. I mean, unless they go on this magical run, then you're really in the legacy mode there.
Mm-hmm.
But if that was like Game 7 or something like that, okay, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the first inning.
Exactly.
Right. And, I mean, fortuitously for him, I mean, the Yankees went on to win the game. Okay, if we're talking legacy, down 3-0. It's only happened one time in MLB playoff history.
Boston.
Ironically involving the Yankees on the other side.
Yep.
If this leads to that, and look, I mean, the Dodgers didn't immediately fall behind right after that. It wasn't like, and then the next at bat, the Yankees started scoring their runs. But I mean, I suppose, if the Yankees pull off the unfathomable or almost unfathomable, thank you, Red Sox, and do the 4-3 comeback, this enters the lore.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe not quite to bloody sock level lore, but it's there. It's in the discussion. It's not Dave Roberts. There's some irony too. What if that happened?
Yeah, that would be kind of funny, actually. Yeah, because I can still picture Dave Roberts stealing second and all that.
I mean, this is as a side note. Imagine Dave Roberts being on both ends of the only two in. Dave Roberts and the Yankees separately being involved on both ends of a comeback.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Gosh. By the way, what did Mookie Betts yell back at the guy? Because you see it after that and he backs away and he's like, ah.
Yeah, I don't know if
I don't know that we could say it on the air. Probably not, but I'd love to know what Mookie Betts yelled back.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I'm 100% on his side on this, and I think most anyone would be, but what did he say?
I don't know. Really quick, Seabaum did chime in before we got to take a break because we're a little OT here. 30-year-old Seabaum, I'm running on the field to give them a break. 48-year-old Seabaum runs out of gas before I get through the end zone. Blasted by security. So I think he didn't say no.
Breaks down his different
but
eras.
He didn't say no. So I think 48-year-old is still doing it. Is the way I'm interpreting this.
Yep.
Baseball, I'd absolutely interfere with the catch. I'd become a defensive back, and that ball is as much as mine as his. #idiots unite.
Gosh, so I see the pictures from the Jesse Rogers story of him with his Yankee friend. That is like, if you had to like do an AI picture, and I'm not meaning this in a mean way. I mean, like if you'd had to do an AI photo of show 5 Yankees fans who are all buds, just smiling for the camera. Him and his 4 Yankees friends are exactly who you would think. It is like, yep, Yankees fans.
Mm-hmm.
And again, and that's not a bad. I'm just saying that it's classic.
Mm-hmm.
Did we hear him, or was it just a?
I was reading the ESPN.
I was wondering, does he have like a Bronx accent or anything?
I would imagine.
Go all the way with this.
Yeah. Yep. So,
oh man.
All right, we gotta take a quick break here. Keep your thoughts coming now. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Get your vehicle ready to do battle with another Wisconsin winter. If you need some new tires to do battle with those snow-covered roads here in Scotty, head over to our good friends at ASAP Used Auto Parts on Menominee Street in Eau Claire, just across the street from the Dude Dodge over there. Best deals in the area. Also, your go-to place for oil changes. So if you're looking up in that left-hand corner of your windshield and you see it's time for an oil change, ASAP Used Auto Parts is your place to go there as well. Not only can they help you save some money on some high-quality used auto parts, but they can help save some money on your oil change and brand new tires this year as well. All right. We've got some hoops talk coming. So I threw this question out, Luke, a little bit earlier with the Bucks. Okay. 1-3 starts so far this season after getting their first win against 76ers team that didn't have Joel Embiid or Paul George. So they're 1-3 right now. And I'm starting to see this a little bit more on social media, which is a dangerous place to be. By the way, don't go on Packers fan page. I don't belong to a Packer Facebook fan page. Don't do it. It's just dumb. I was scrolling through it yesterday. Dumb. Just we got people
get
now.
stupid.
We got people now saying trade Jordan Love and just keep Malik Willis. So we're there. We're there. We're there. So
Yeah.
or one that was really just was like people criticizing Matt LaFleur's play calling. I'm like, oh my God.
Also, the Packers won.
Why do we have to just be constantly miserable in life with stuff like that?
These are probably the same people that would tear off Mookie Betts' mitt.
Yeah.
Really.
Defending the wall. That's like Game of Thrones. Got to defend the wall right there.
Defend this wall.
Anyways, back to the Bucks here. If you could change one decision from the last couple of years that you think would have this team in a better position or so, what would it be? And these are the options I kind of threw out there. Still have Coach Bud. Still have Coach Adrian Griffin. Still have Drew Holiday, but no Damian Lillard. The one that I kind of threw out there, maybe you move on from Bud earlier, but you promote Darvin Ham before he goes to the Lakers.
The Darvin Ham one is maybe the easiest choice because you never really you didn't see him as a head coach with the Bucks,
right?
So you're like, what? But what if he were?
He did coach one game, I think, because I remember he had to fill in for Bud. I think was that when his brother passed. I don't
something
remember
like that. Yeah. Because the other options, like Griffin, was not working.
Even though he was 30-13,
he was, but
there was a weird feeling. Like there was just like, okay, something's a little off.
Yeah, it's that classic. The record does not indicate the quality of the team. Budenholzer has a certain approach. Now that's the opposite. There's so much of a track record. You know what you're gonna get. That's why if I'm a Suns fan, I wouldn't exactly be like, yeah, coach of the year, we're gonna do it. Well, you also see yes, Coach Mike Budenholzer did win it, and he made adjustments. He did coach well in the 2021 finals against the Suns, but by and large,
I didn't even think of that till now. Yeah, that when they beat the Suns and now he's a Suns. I don't know why that just dawned on me. Anyway, sorry.
Again, all the stuff circles around. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Drew Holiday blossomed in Boston. And I almost wonder if that would not have happened had he stayed put, that it kind of needed all of the surrounding of the Celtics and any factor of, I'm traded, I'm playing with Tatum and Brown, I'm playing off of these folks. All these things allowed him to become a once again a key player on an NBA championship team. So that the defense obviously would be way better for the Bucks. And I mean, I guess you could say between how teams that seem to do really great offensively in the regular season, it kind of tails off in the playoffs. It happens with a lot of sports. But also, remember the change in the officiating that happened after the All-Star game?
Yeah.
Yep. Could that have helped the Bucks if Drew Holiday still playing for them at that point? Because defensive teams started to remember we were talking about how great that would be for the Timberwolves, and we saw. I mean, I'm not sure if you can exactly draw a line, but you saw how they performed pretty well against like the Nuggets, for example, and against the Suns. And maybe that would have happened anyway. Let's not go too far with it. Could have helped the Bucks too. Now, also no Giannis. If Drew Holiday's playing for the Bucks last year and Giannis still gets injured, and that's one where you can't necessarily say Giannis would have gotten injured anyway. Well, maybe not. Maybe there's a certain way he's on a certain play and that injury doesn't happen. Or maybe it was in what it was destined to. That's how his body was working. I don't know that they suddenly win the NBA championship last year. They probably have a closer first-round series loss. The Darvin Ham one is the closest thing to my choice on this because I hear so many good things, but it's also a massive asterisk of we don't know how he would have been as a Bucks coach. We never saw it.
The Drew Holiday one is easily fan favorite, one of my favorite players. I think almost every Bucks fan loves Drew Holiday.
And especially after what happened last year, I know there's probably some bitterness of, yeah, you went to Boston and won a title. On the other hand, they're like, you went to Boston and won a title. Look what happened to us.
Well, and the thing is, if you're upset about Drew Holiday going to Boston and winning a title, get over it, grow up. You would do the same thing for crying out loud. I mean, come on now.
He's not a Wisconsin. This isn't like
this isn't Favre going to the Vikings sort of
or
thing.
Or Council going to the Cubs, being like, you grew up here and now this.
Exactly. Yeah. So if anybody's upset at Drew Holiday for that, you're in that club with C-Bomb. Although C-Bomb did say he takes it back now because of the Jordan Love trade talk there. Takes back the Idiots Unite. But the Drew Holiday one, to me, like you pointed out, he fits so incredibly well with Boston because you got Tatum, you got Jaylen Brown. They've got other scoring options where Drew Holiday doesn't have to be a guy that averages 20 points a game, right? Whereas in Milwaukee, you have to factor in the Chris Middleton thing where Drew Holiday, and yes, sometimes there was a couple times where Drew Holiday dropped 50 or, where he had to be that go-to. And I don't know if that's Drew Holiday's best game. That's not his, you don't want Drew Holiday to be your number one scorer.
Right.
And so I think that's where, to me, it's tough, where it's simple as, you bring in Drew Holiday and then you got your defense, but then it's because him and Dame are so opposite, right? Dame's your scorer. Dame's your guy who can create. Because when we talked about it, when it was Drew and Giannis and Middleton, it was like, we need another guy who can create. Dame can create. So you're getting that, but now you're sacrificing defense, obviously, with Drew Holiday.
And then it turned out he couldn't create as frequently. There were some games he created just to use that as a verb. He created really well last year. We remember some of those games, like Dame single-handedly winning a game. And then it would come like the next game, like, is he playing for the Bucks? Is he off night? What's going on here?
Yeah, so that one to me is tough.
Especially also in Drew Holiday's case, being of an advanced NBA player age, then he performs better. Like you've figured he would start to tail off,
right?
So that there's a lot of unfortunate circumstances for the Bucks. Some self-inflicted, some by chance, I think.
And the thing is, too, is like, if this keeps going on this path, I don't think they fire Doc Rivers this year.
No, they can't.
Yeah, I mean, I know they've got Ham back on staff, and they've got guys who got a little head coaching.
They'd have to be off to a 13 seed start by mid-December. You're like, okay, this team is falling apart. Doc Rivers does not. His floor is higher than that for poor performance. Or if that is happening, something's really, really, really wrong with the Bucks entirely. Like that, Giannis had to have gotten in. If you told me the Bucks were like, I'm trying to think what would be a record in mid-December, but like 8-22 or something. I'd be like, oh gosh, Giannis is like out for the season and Dame didn't get any better, right? That would be my immediate reaction. I wouldn't presume that the chemistry got that bad. Like, it's not happening.
Right. So it's tough for me. Like, what change would I make in there? Like, I don't want to manufacture one like, I'm trying to go back to something we could change and not just like trade Middleton and all. That's not where I'm going. Something that happened that you could change is where I'm trying to go with this. And
there's not one thing that has led to all of this.
No.
Well, I mean, okay, if there is one quote unquote thing, but you're going to lose some pluses along with the minuses. It's what I said like last week or the week before. John Horst. Horst led to a lot of, not all, but a lot of these decisions. He's had some questionable decisions. He's had some really good decisions. And without John Horst, maybe they're an overall better team that never wins a championship.
I'll throw one thing that happened, and it's not one that we've talked about, but do you re-sign Brook Lopez? And that's not a knock on Brook, but you great interior defender, but is that the right style to play right now?
Probably not in a league-wide sense, but maybe they didn't have another option given Lillard's lack of, and I know he doesn't play center, but lack of performance and how much you'd have to change the team. But I think This is one of these moves you make after you've made a whole bunch of other moves, and you can't, if you then can't be like, okay, get rid of Lopez. Well, you've set your team in a position that now you've got a massive stylistic hole to fill, a big scheme hole to fill. To also assess how much Doc Rivers may have said, like, I kind of need him on my team.
Mm-hmm.
That's
the Lopez, he resigned a couple years ago before, that.
Right.
So,
but like in terms of like, would you want to trade him or something like that? And Rivers, Rivers has enough gravitas that he could talk to John Horst and say, can you make this move? Can you do this? Da, 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 da. Gosh, if Rivers had been around before Lillard came over, what would have happened?
Mm-hmm.
Given out, remember how Horst kept that so secret. That's one of the best jobs of not revealing anything.
Right.
Credit to Horst on that. But what Rivers has said versus Adrian Griffin.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. What would Budenholzer have said?
Right.
I don't know. But I think this must be broader to the team. But again, like you said, the contract was signed earlier, but now in the wake of now, should they have moved on from him to recreate the team on the fly? I mean, they recreated it pretty quickly with the Lillard Holiday trade. In effect, it's what it was, right, with multiple players. But maybe that was too much reimagining to do. I don't know. You see where again, that's the thing with this Bucks team. There's so many things that haven't quite worked out, but there's just enough that did.
They just feel really old right now.
They literally are, by NBA standard. That this should not be the sort of team that can go on a big run. Maybe they will, but they're off to a start.
Mm-hmm.
But we've seen the Bucks get off to great starts and go the other way, and we've seen teams go off to bad starts and turn around. So I think it will settle. They've had some tough opponents early, but that's the thing. We're still in October, very early in the season.
All right, we got to take a quick break and finish up the second hour. If my computer wants me to do that over here. There we go.
Who knows?
Yeah. All right, quick break. We'll be back after these few words. with this cold front coming over here, it's got hunters excited to head out to the woods and maybe take advantage of some deer movement over here. And also next month, too, don't forget, it is the annual tradition, one of Wisconsin's holidays, the deer gun season. And if you're still maybe got to get a new deer rifle or got to hook somebody up with a new deer rifle, go visit our good friends at Tilden Gun. You can check out their website at Tilden Gun to see all their selections, or stop by their shop at 12427 90th Avenue in Chippewa Falls. Sean Hunter will help you get the proper gear to get out in the woods and have a successful hunting season. So I threw out this question. I'm not going to give you my top 5, but for a podcast episode later on this week on Friday, top 5 quarterback head coach combos of all time. So I want you to think about it for a little bit, Luke, and you give me your top 5, okay? I will say, nobody has guessed mine. I haven't said mine, but nobody has guessed mine. Nobody's gotten there. And I thought mine was pretty generic. So kind of interesting. Thought mine was pretty and I did not go Arnie Herber and Curly Lambeau. I didn't pull any of that stuff. Super Bowl era. Let's keep it there.
Okay, because I think you could actually make a pretty good case for like Paul Brown and Otto Graham.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Actually, that's probably a top 5 choice. So
we'll go Super Bowl era.
Now that also means we're cutting off a whole lot of Lombardi and Starr.
We are, but that's the
rule. So you may have to knock that down a little bit. On the other hand, it was first 2 Super Bowls. So factor accordingly.
Exactly. So think about it for a little bit. Let me know.
Okay.
So mine's later. I'm not telling you what mine is. I just want to see if anybody has the same as me, and nobody does. So that means everybody's answer is wrong.
Right.
Absolutely wrong. Come on. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. Think about it.
Really isn't. I mean, as I'm thinking through, like I've already got 3 very solid choices. They can't come right to mind. And there are a couple others that I'm like, yeah, I think so. I just want to make sure. Like it's not that difficult.
I have a theme with mine too. I have an interesting theme with mine. It just worked out that way. But it was part of a factor that I thought about a little bit when I'm trying to really tease this thing up. So
now it's Super Bowl era. To parse this a little bit more, are we talking about necessarily Super Bowl performance or
no
overall? So they could be like aces in the regular season, and then they always come up short in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, whatever.
So if folks, if you're listening, or individual, I should always say, you the listener, if they sucked in the Super Bowl, that's not necessarily the factor. If they were a great regular season one, and I don't have one necessarily in mind, but just let that guide you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, okay. It's a little open. I kind of, you can, I'll say the Super Bowl era, give or take a couple of years if you want to.
Definitely not Forrest Gregg and Randy Wright.
Yeah.
That would be a bad example.
Yeah. And, when I say Super Bowl era, it's because I didn't want everybody to, 1940s or 50s. Okay. Give or take a couple of years if you want to.
Right.
Over there. I mean, if
and
you
also
really
the
want.
quarterback position was different. That's why like the Graham Brown one is probably the best example from that era, because Otto Graham was Sammy Baugh, of course, was one of the first great quarterbacks. Graham was an absolute all-timer, and Paul Brown was his coach. Wow, what a combination.
Mm-hmm.
That is one of the most side note, that is one of the most underrated coach combinations of a coach and player probably in sports history, if you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Really think about it, probably is.
So, I mean, if you really, 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 really want Johnny Unitas and Weeb Eubank, I guess you could put them on there too if you want. But
technically,
it's not Super Bowl. Weeb Eubank wasn't with the Colts in Super Bowl 5.
That's true. So, but you'd have to do Eubank and Namath.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So there's been a lot of the same picks, but nobody has guessed my top 5 yet.
All right. When are we going to reveal?
Friday.
Okay.
Friday.
Well, when am I going to reveal?
Nah, just past 8. Or let you have it now.
I'm at like 3. I need to give it a little more thought. But
do you want to name your 3 right now?
Brady Belichick, in no particular order. Brady Belichick, Montana, Walsh, Mahomes, Reed.
Okay, those are pretty easy ones. Yep.
Yeah, those are the obvious. So it's the other 2. That's where I'm like scanning through my mind. I'm like, okay, what was a really good one that maybe like again didn't win a Super Bowl, but like you would draft them if you're doing a fantasy draft. They'd be a top 5 anyway.
Mm-hmm. And I think everybody's going to be a little different. Like it may depend on like how many championships they have together, or maybe it's just I don't want to tip my hand on anything, but you can just like okay, the connection between the two, if you know what I mean.
They made something or
right,
like that. Yeah.
right. Because we always get in a debate: is it the quarterback or the coach? It's both. For crying out loud, it can be both.
Lovie Smith, Jay Cutler.
Lovie Smith and Rex Grossman, excuse you.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. My bad.
Wow.
Yeah, sorry. Wrong.
Come on now.
Look, they're all bad, okay? Come on. And I know Grossman got to the Super Bowl. Yes, I get it. I know.
Mm-hmm.
That is still in retrospect. Look, we all want to take an opportunity. All of us non-Bears fans take an opportunity to rip on the Bears when we can because that's what we do. But that's still weird to think Rex Grossman was a Bears Super Bowl quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mr. Florida Gator himself.
Wow.
I still remember reading in my Packer report that he was mocked to go to the Packers as the next Brett Favre.
Yes, I still remember when there was that thought of Rex Grossman could be the next Brett Favre. People were serious about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was the thing. So,
well, hey, he got to half as many Super Bowls as Brett Favre.
No.
Wait.
No.
Did I do my math right?
Favre went to 2 and Favre won 1.
No, he went to half as many.
Yeah. Went to half as many.
Yeah, didn't win as many, but he went to half as many.
Yeah. Easy there.
No, yes, that's what I said. He went to 50% of the Super Bowls.
I thought you said went to as many.
He didn't win as many.
No, went to as many.
Yeah.
But he didn't go to as many.
He didn't. What?
No. Favre went to 2 Super Bowls.
Right, and Grossman went to 1.
Yeah, so he didn't go to as many Super Bowls as Favre.
No, he went to, half.
Right.
I'm confused. I've been awake for 2 hours. This is not working out well.
No.
I need to go back to thinking about quarterbacks.
Quarterbacks and head coach combos.
Coaches.
Yes.
This is going to lead to
Unless Rex
Grossman.
went to as a backup, who knows? I don't know if he
the
did
Jim
or not,
McMahon thing.
Yeah. So I don't know. All right, final hour coming up next. All right, here we go. Final hour kicking off right now on this Tip of Your Cap Wednesday. You want to give a shout out to anybody or anything? Let us know. Hit us up with the text 715-830-1912. Got Wade, who's going with Brady Belichick, Montana Walsh, Star Lombardi, Marino and Shula, Elway and Reeves. Okay, interesting one there.
That I pondered.
Okay,
maybe a top 10 one for me.
Why Elway Reeves? Elway Shanahan.
That's what held me back, because Elway Reeves was, that was one of the best teams of the late 80s, to a degree, the early 90s. Couldn't get over the hump.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get over the hump with Shanahan. Now, and this is where we parse a little bit more about how much was it the coach with the quarterback, or the coach was really good and the quarterback was really good, but they happen to be on the same team.
Right. Jason says, does it have to be head coach like Gruden and Favre? Well, yes, head coach, but again, I don't know why Gruden wasn't a quarterback coach in Green Bay. He was a wide receiver coach. So I don't know if you're thinking quarterback coach and coach.
I suppose it could be like just they were
I know he's an offensive assistant his first year, and then he was promoted to wide receivers coach. So, but yeah, they head coach and quarterback. So, so you got to give me 5. Got to give me 5 before I read everybody else. So you got your 5 now?
I do have my 5.
All right.
Like I said, Brady Belichick, Walsh Montana,
Yep.
Reed Mahomes, rising the list. Reed Mahomes could eventually,
Mm-hmm.
the rate they're going, could be number 2. I would have Walsh Montana number 2, but
I'm surprised more people don't have that one on the list that they've given me so far.
I think it's just the
recency.
Yep, recency bias.
But
Number
it's
4,
pretty good. So.
yeah, right. Sean Payton and Drew Brees would be my number 4, and number 5 was close. I'm going to go with Don Coryell and Dan Fouts. That offense was freaking scary when Coryell got there, and I know Coryell had aired Coryell. It was a coaching thing, but Fouts made that work so well.
Mm-hmm.
If they were the Chargers are so close to doing something with that, and I couldn't quite get over it. My number 6, very close, and I could be convinced to go the other way, would be Favre and Holmgren. It was between them and Coryell Fouts.
Okay.
It's more because I think Holmgren was, it's very easy to make the connection between those two because of the NFL Films highlights, the Sports Illustrated cover, their relationship. But I think that's a lot of what we see. I think for Holmgren, there was a lot more of the team overall. And I'm crediting Ron Wolf a lot more for the Favre aspect than.
Well, you needed a coach to coach him up, though.
You do. That's true. So that's where I wonder how, I'm putting more value of the coach helping the quarterback with Fouts and Coryell. Fouts was okay. He was good. Coryell comes. Oh my gosh, what's going on? After Coryell's gone, it recedes. And of course, Fouts was much older by that point.
Mm-hmm.
Favre was still really good after. Now, how much of that was, like you said, being coached up to the point that he was that good? If Mike Holmgren's not head coach, but do we? And maybe I forgot. Was there a strong number 2 choice for coach for the 92 season for the Packers?
Well, I remember Wolf inquired with Parcells, but Parcells, I think, was recovering from a heart attack and didn't want to get back into coaching at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Cowher was talked about, but Marty Schottenheimer, I think, said, I think it was at a point where something about Marty Schottenheimer, I remember reading this, swayed it or prevented it from happening because he didn't want to lose Bill Cowher. Because I think he was with Kansas City at that point.
And then Cowher ended up going to Pittsburgh that same season.
Right. So there was something with Bill Cowher, I think, too. But I know Cowher and Parcells were 2 names that Wolf was looking at, too.
Because I'd pondered Parcells and Sims. But there, that's another one where I think the overall team, and Sims is a good quarterback. Is not an all-time great. This would hold me back a little on that, but I would have loved to have seen, if we're doing alternate histories, Parcells with a young Favre. How would that have turned out? And I think it would have gone really well.
I don't.
You sure?
Yeah, I don't think it would have. I don't know.
It
I
would've
don't
gone on-
think Parcells would have been as patient as Holmgren was with Favre in a lot of
definitely
instances.
not.
So
I think it would have been far messier. I think they would have gotten to a Super Bowl, but there would have been a much bigger dramatic component to that. The Packers stayed pretty on course, given that there was a lot of a regular reminder how much it was talked about that Brett
I
Favre
think
was
you're
almost gone.
Well, that's where I think you're kind of underestimating the Holmgren and Favre connection. I don't think Favre
Yeah.
becomes Favre if he doesn't have Holmgren.
See, that's where exactly. Now saying that might almost convince me to push that up to number 5.
Because I would say, I mean, since you put in Peyton and Breeze, what about McCarthy and Rodgers then? Just saying there, dude. Come on now.
Yeah.
Come on.
McCarthy and Dak. I just wanted to say that.
I was waiting for somebody to say Jason Garrett and Tony Romo, for crying out loud. Come on now.
Well, it's almost.
Being sarcastic, before people freak out on me. Jeez.
Well, I mean, if you wanted to go all out, I mean, you could say like Tom Coughlin and Eli Manning.
Yeah.
You could.
Could.
You shouldn't, but you could. That's where this gets a little dicey of like, how many wins did they have? Well, yeah, but is that necessarily the two combined? And that's not the point. So that means all good situations, mind you, of what we've got here.
We got a couple more here. Brady Belichick, Montana Walsh, Elway Shanahan, Mahomes Reed, Bradshaw Knoll. That's from John. Mark from EC is Mahomes and Reed, Brady and Belichick, Montana Walsh, Marino and Shula, Manning and Dungy. So even with yours, nobody's got the same 5 as me. And it still perplexes me. I think you're all overthinking it a little bit.
Okay.
I think you're all overthinking it a
We'll
bit.
find out on Friday.
Find out on Friday. So that's why you got to what? Follow and subscribe. That's what we call a little tease. In the biz over there.
Let's see. So
You do, I will say, we do, there's a lot of, for mine, a lot of people, we have like the 3 or 4. Some are just one off for mine. Just one off.
Brandon Berg has his. Is he going to have like Brad Childress and Gus Farrat?
I don't.
T-Jack?
I think the Brad Childress era is not. No. We don't want to go down that with him. So no.
Yeah, the Chili era. I mean, there was. Yeah, we'll just move.
What about Bud and Fran?
I pondered that, but that's more defense, and I think Fran Tarkenton. I mean, Fran Tarkenton was probably going to be good no matter what.
Well, you say that's more defense, but so was Brady and Belichick.
Yeah, that's true. I think there is more the absolute excellence involved. So I'm kind of.
Is that why you don't have Levy and Kelly too? Because Levy was defense and all that.
Yeah. Yep. That's it. As great as that the no huddle offense, the 1990 Bills, just ran over you. But I don't know how much of that was necessarily Kelly and Levy. Again, I think ultimately that's more defense. That's what held me back on a lot of these combinations where I'm like, yeah, that's more of a defensive coach, or this coach was more of a holistic one as opposed to being offensive oriented. That's where, like, say Peyton and Breeze, like those two seemed locked in. Didn't produce more than one championship, but that was very tight.
How about this? If anybody can guess my 5, I'll send you something. If anybody can guess my 5, I'll send you something.
What if you have like 6 people that suddenly get it all right?
Well, we'll see. Well, maybe I'll go through the cupboards and see what we got.
Well, by something you could be like a Post-it note. You didn't clarify. I mean, hey.
Thanks for calling me out, Luke. Yeah,
But
exactly.
hey,
I mean, for crying out loud. I'll give a hint. I'll give a little bit of a hint. Mine have quarterbacks. I'm going to try to say it this way so I don't give it away too much. Let's just say they initially weren't thought to be much.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
Whatever that is.
Yep.
But that's it. And
some of them.
I can think of a few examples already of where you're going with this.
Mm-hmm.
So if you know your history, you're going to.
So how about this? You can text the bat line if you think you know my 5.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you if you're right or not.
Some of us know
the bat line. Yeah. We'll call it the bat line. So
it's a very exclusive club.
It is. Very, very. There are some people, I refuse to give it out. So
right.
And well, I've been kind of utilizing the bat line with you a lot lately. So
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
we won't go down that topic. Though.
No,
we
definitely
won't-
not.
we're
No,
gonna do that.
Hold.
No.
Yeah, no. If you know, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Some really confused people driving around like right
what-
now. Like,
what-
what's
what's
this?
this? What's this behind the scenes sort of thing I want in? No.
Don't you wish you knew?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We're really hyping this up and it's nothing.
It's really not.
It's not. So,
They know something about the draft next year. We wish. I saw, was it like Aaron Nagler or someone was responding to like a tweet about is the reason the Packers don't want to make a big and may not make a move at the draft? Yeah. Someone texted, do you think the Packers will be hesitant to trade picks for players because the draft is in Green Bay next year?
Oh, come on.
And well, Nagler said, I'm sure the marketing folks at 1265 are hoping they hold on to all their picks, but Brian and the personnel group could not care less about that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly how that goes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I'm sure there is I don't want to say there's a tension, but there's a little bit of that. I'm sure the marketing people are like, Brian, please don't.
Well, what's the odds of him? The main one's the first round pick, right? That's the main one. And then, I mean, yeah, I would be shocked if they trade their first round for somebody at this point.
And this is the gut check. You want to win or do you want to have a cool draft?
Right. Yeah. I would be, if anything, they'll trade the first round on draft night. So that'll really piss off the fans in Titletown District. They're sitting around waiting because let's assume it's going to be in the 20s at bare minimum.
Mm-hmm.
And then they end up trading out of the first round. That'll piss off everybody in Green Bay.
At least if Roger Goodell can say the name of the team at the podium.
Mhm.
Yeah, that'd still be yucky, but better than to trade way in advance and you don't even say the name Green Bay Packers outside of the introduction.
The best part is because that's Mark Murphy's swan song. He's retiring 2 months after that. Be like, really, Brian? I get the draft here, and we can't even have a first round pick at the draft. You're gonna do this, dude, to me when I got to retire? That oh gosh, can you imagine?
That would suck. Oh, man.
But it would fit kind of Green Bay and
I mean,
see a little bit. This is where I go back and forth. I think we're still stuck on Ted Thompson era when we can't be.
There's enough follow on from the Ted Thompson era and the Gutekunst era to make you think, and beyond just, oh, this is what the Packers do. No, they don't really do this anymore. That happens with a lot of teams. It takes you a few years to adjust to a new style in a lot of cases. But no, they're not going to blow up all their picks because this is what Ted does, and that's what Brian. No, Brian doesn't quite do that. Kind of, but not really. So no, they're going to have a first round pick, and if they don't, there's going to be a really good reason why they don't have a first round pick, and I think most Packers fans would understand that.
Yeah. Yep.
I think so.
Nobody wants to guess my top 5 and try to win something. All right, that's your guys' loss.
No idea.
It's actually it's not that hard. It's very, very, I think, basic. Because nobody has gotten it yet. Try texting it. Let me know.
You can text the regular line. We don't mean the bad line.
Yeah,
There's a regular public line.
Yeah. Text the Shoe Doctors line. I think Luke might get it after the hints.
I kind of do.
I think you might get it, but Luke doesn't count in this thing.
Right.
He doesn't count.
Because the other thing is I can also ask, just pop over and be like, all right, so who is it?
Well, I won't tell you.
Well, no. I mean,
you gotta listen
I want to
Friday
guess too. Like,
well, you can guess, and I'll tell you if you got it right.
Right.
Yeah.
But I want to make it fun for myself too. And it's like, please you tell me.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I won't just tell you, but you got to guess it. Then I'll tell you if you're right.
Better that way. So, but I will think about this one.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, Mark from EC, you did not get it right. So only get one guess. You only get one guess.
Don't text us again about that. Not ever, but it's not about that.
Yep. Did not get it, Mark. You did not get her. So, I okay. I thought mine would be boring, but maybe not.
Maybe it is more interesting than you think.
Yeah. Or maybe I'm just completely wrong on mine too, and maybe I'm an idiot.
Maybe it'd pull Mookie Betts' mitt off.
Yeah. Man. All right. Gotta defend that wall, man. Gotta D up. D up and defend that wall. I'm gonna defend my picks and D up and defend my picks when we get to that. So all right.
Oh boy. And again, as brutish as that was, that line, that is now in the lexicon.
Make the shirts.
D up.
Print the shirts. Everybody at Yankee Stadium, they should have like a bunch of on that side of the field, right field, foul line. Everybody should be wearing shirts that say "Defend the Wall."
That
And
would be something if that actually happened tonight.
Yeah, and then on the back it says "D up."
Yeah.
Defend the wall.
Boy.
D up. That would be pretty cool. Actually.
So
Okay, we'll find out tonight if he's gonna be at the game if he has season tickets.
True.
Right?
True. We got a pretty quick answer on that.
I mean,
And
I
that's
hope
the
the
only-
cameras try to find him.
Right. I mean, it'll be pretty obvious, like who's sitting there.
Mhm.
He won't be there tonight.
Then you're just gonna have 2 empty seats.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah. Well, so I'll bet someone like moves over or something like that, and also if they're all standing, they'll like everyone will just space out, so you really can't tell. Well, you'd be able to see who's on either side. It depends on also were the people that are all around, or all those the other season
You know what's
ticket
gonna
holders?
happen now is that you're gonna have a couple of Dodger fans sitting in there.
Oh boy.
Mm-hmm.
That, and I know there was a Dodgers fan like in the row behind. You could see he had a Dodgers jersey behind and just to the side. I would not want to be a Dodgers fan sitting in those seats unless like you know everyone around you and it's all in fun.
Maybe Mookie is gonna buy those 2 seats and put a
Give
couple
him
people in there.
Give them to like kids or something like that.
Yeah.
Like we dare you. Okay, this is not Philadelphia where you actually would be a little worried for their health.
Yeah.
But it's top 5 probably of like don't do it. Just don't do it.
Right. Richie says Grant and Tarkenton. We did mention those over there, but we need 5 there, Richie. 5. Nobody's gotten it yet. All right, text the bat line, Luke.
All right. This might be later today, but I'm thinking.
What? You only got 40 minutes.
All right, 40 minutes. I'm on
40 minutes.
Okay, 40.
This is kind of fun now, seeing everybody try to guess. Luke, you're still typing. I can see in the text message here, right? You're still typing. There you go. Okay. Luke, you're still
right.
wrong. You're still wrong.
Still am?
Yep.
Okay.
You're close. but
Okay.
Still wrong.
Okay.
I think you got one.
Were the
three-
first
three.
three correct?
No.
Oh, interesting.
Your list isn't as worse as C-Bomb's guesses, though. This made me throw up in my mouth. C-Bomb says every one of those are every one of his picks are Hall of Fame quarterbacks that never would have had a shot without their coach. He's got Favre and Holmgren, Steve Young and George Seifert, Drew Brees and Sean Payton.
Speaking of throwing up, by the way, with Steve Young. But anyway.
Drew Brees, Sean Payton, Brady and Belichick, Russell Wilson, and Pete Carroll.
I wondered about that one, but that's one where, again,
I'm not telling you which one, C-Bomb, either. That I don't want to give it away, but come on, dude, you got to know me better than that. But that's my get. That's my 5. No.
Well, see, and the Seahawks are the classic example of really good quarterback at the time. Russell Wilson, really good quarterback, and the coach is really good with defense. I think that was more coincidental than the relationship made something happen. And that's not to say that they didn't get along, though towards the end, apparently that was the case. But that was a coach really good at defense and a really good quarterback.
I will say, too, on the narrative, you could every one of those are Hall of Fame quarterbacks that never would have had a shot without their coach. Remember, though, Drew Brees did sign a decent contract to go to New Orleans. I know he was coming off of an injury, but he started off with the Chargers, but he was either Dolphins or Saints, and he went to the Saints. So he got a shot because of the contract to go over there, too. So just throwing that out there. Out there. So, but no. I don't even know how many C-Bomb got right on that one. It's not high. Come on, C-Bomb. You gotta know you're better than that. For crying out loud. Luke got 3 of them. You got 3 of them.
Okay.
But the first 3 you texted, not all right.
Okay. But I got 3 of 5.
You got 3 of 5.
Okay.
You got 3 of 5. So yeah. I appreciate the outside the thinking on one of them. I won't tell you which one, but I'll just say it's the one that you subbed out. I appreciate the outside the box thinking.
Okay. Yeah.
That was not in my 5, though. I'll tell you that either. So
okay, really interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because I'm not sure if that quarterback, how much that one was, like you said, had to be kind of developed. But they were together for like the duration of the career. So I'd have to do without saying anything, I'd have to do my research on the early days of that coach quarterback pairing.
I tried to use the quote. Can I tell everybody's? I can tell you what your 5 was because
go ahead.
So, can I tell the one that you subbed out to?
That'll be that'll be the dead giveaway because that's one where I don't know how much you decide.
So
go ahead.
These were the 6 that Luke had in there: Holmgren, Favre, Walsh, Montana, McCarthy, Rogers, Chuck Noll, Bradshaw, and then Hank Strom and Dawson, then Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid there.
It was like, wait, I mean, whether that's right or not, I don't know, but I was like,
I tried to quote Hank Stram in second grade flag football, and the kids didn't really understand what I was talking about when I said, we want to matriculate the ball down the field.
Oh, gosh. Educate them on that so much.
Because I'm I'm trying to keep them patient and just, one play at a time. We don't need to have big throws. We need to matriculate the ball. And they're like, what?
If it wasn't for that Super Bowl being against the Vikings, that would have been one of the best. I would so enjoy that so much more. Because that was quotes. I can still remember that.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. That is a classic.
Yeah.
Absolute classic.
Keep the guesses coming, though. Nobody's going to win anything. All right. Nobody's going to win anything.
Are you going to include my too soon?
Oh, your too soon is LaFleur and Love. Yeah, that's too soon. Way too soon.
It is, but you could make a case using your theory on that. You could.
My theory on that, too, I could go Shanahan and Brock Purdy for crying out loud.
Well, I know. When is that really more of a GM thing? Like, where do we end with that? I don't know.
Trying to think what would be some other current ones besides Mahomes and Reed right now. What would
I mean, Campbell Goff.
then at that point, you might as well go McVay and Stafford for his little time.
You probably could, but they've both worked out. But yeah, the sample size is as great as
Tua and Mike.
You know what? That briefly popped through my head, but another we haven't seen nearly enough to know.
Right. Yep. Jaden Daniels and Dan Quinn.
Speaking of not enough time to know.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I know. Sunday. We haven't had enough time.
Is that the best Hail Mary that you've seen?
Would you believe I've not yet seen it? This is what moving does.
Wait.
For real. Okay.
What?
Here's part of the problem. We had no internet.
You have internet right now.
Well, now I do. So you know what? I'm going to bring it up right now. But I've not gotten to it yet. This move has been.
You haven't even seen a photo.
No, I've not. Incredibly, somehow that has not crossed. Not at all. So here's what I'm going to do, because I actually am gradually making my way through NFL primetime, literally during commercial breaks. So I'm going to cue forward right now because I happen to have this on my phone. I know, like I've hardly watched the World Series. I was so excited about this, and I've watched like maybe.
Well, you
10
haven't really
minutes
missed anything besides Game 1 when Freeman hit that walk-off.
And mercifully, I watched that live.
Yeah,
it was one of the few things I actually saw as it happened, and I am so thankful that I saw it. Okay, here we go. I queued right to it. Here we go. So
it's like play-by-play right now.
Pretty much.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to give you the Berman version of this.
Sorry, Bears fans, that you got to relive.
You know what? This gives us another excuse to rip on Bears fans, so I'm not complaining about that. So gets up to the 50-yard line. Give you a little extra Berman here. All right, here we go.
I can't believe you haven't seen this.
Fall short or long today. Got to escape. Can you reach the end zone? I don't know. Crank it up. It's got to go 65 yards in the air. Knock it.
Wow.
That's the first time you've seen that?
This is the first.
Okay.
Like I said, I've had a very busy past like 4 or 5 days. Like there is a lot that I missed. It's weird. It's one of those sort of like, oh, this happened? Oh, cool. Yeah. Okay, now I gotta unbox this thing. We're as my wife has been saying a lot, we are never, ever, 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 ever moving again. We're not that old. Yeah. We are never, ever, ever moving again. It's not been a bad moving experience. It's just a lot. A lot. So yeah, I mean, like I knew the Hail Mary happened, but somehow I'd literally not seen it until right now. Where would I rank that in terms of all-time Hail Marys?
My top one is probably Cowboys over Minnesota.
I mean, that was the one that created.
I was being
the name.
Sarcastic. So
well, honestly, I wasn't entirely sure, because if not for that play, and if not for Roger Staubach's comment afterwards, there is no Hail Mary.
Okay.
That's where it came from, right?
I know, yeah.
Right. So I mean, literally, I mean, it would have been, what would we have called that if Roger Staubach doesn't do the did the rosary, I said the Hail Mary. He's Catholic, so he was saying that, so he's not like ripping on Catholics. What if he doesn't say that? What do we call that play?
I don't know.
Because that's where it came from.
Yep.
Best ones of all time. Like I keep thinking of Aaron Rodgers Hail Marys.
The Rodgers one to Richard Rodgers is pretty. It's up there. Yeah, it is up there. It's you get more credit for walk-off ones.
Yes, that's where this one ranks higher because of that. But in terms of the all-timers, and again, you got to launch it to win the game. This is part of my fandom, but I think it counts because it wins the game and it won a division championship, even though they probably would have won it anyway. Kramer to Rashad against the Browns in 1980.
That's Inside Stuff Hall of Famer.
Yes.
Rashad.
BFF Michael Jordan.
Yep.
Ahmad Rashad. But that one, and I mean, granted, that's not the 20 players all in a grouping trying to all tip it sort of thing. That's more that but still the catch. I mean, I know the videos that goes around still kind of grainy, but well, not grainy, but blurry. But the degree of difficulty in that catch by Rashad, like he cradles it with one hand and then spins around and just walks into the end zone. Other ones.
Well, really quick, I want to ask another question here, quick.
Because and before you ask that, just for anyone wondering, like, remember, there's only been one walk-off touchdown in playoff history. That was a Minnesota Miracle or Minneapolis.
Is that a Hail Mary?
And
though?
that's not a Hail Mary.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's a touchdown. It's not a Hail Mary.
Yeah.
So if anyone's trying to think playoff, nope, it has not happened in the playoffs. So you got to think
not a
regular season
walk-off one.
Not a walk-off. There have
been playoff Hail Marys,
but not a game winner. And
No.
like you said,
like
game-
Rodgers had 2 in the playoffs. So
right. But
Giants and
game winners
Cardinals.
count for a lot more.
How about game tires to force overtime? Because that kind of was Rodgers. They still had to hit the extra point, but still.
That's top 5.
Yeah.
Given the context. Because it was do or die.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the game enders are such a bigger deal. Like if it's at the end of the half, you're like, I mean, it still counts, but you're not putting as much effort into that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so speaking of Rodgers, is this Jets team, not to get on a Jets tangent, but the worst quote unquote super team of all time? The worst best team of all time?
I mean, Dream Team still comes to mind.
But they
from a decade ago.
Yeah, I looked it up. They made a push towards the end of towards the end of the regular season to try to get in. I think they finished 500.
See, that's the thing. The Jets could potentially still do that.
They could.
Right. So
but if they don't, let's say they finish with 5 wins, 6 wins.
Probably. I mean, NFL super teams are tougher to screw up because you can't just like bring in a guy in his buds, which I know that's what Rodgers did, but where that basically takes up the entire roster. There are enough other players you can kind of control for that a little bit, which actually maybe as I'm talking this out, I think actually makes the Jets worse because Rodgers was able to get so many of his guys on that team.
Mm.
Usually you can't do that in a football team. He did.
Yeah.
And it turned out really, nah. So I think, again, the
team shouldn't be bad. That's the thing.
No.
Yes, and that's why I made the comment when they traded for Devontae. It's too late because, I mean, look at the hole they're in right now. After 2 games in, they still haven't won with Devontae in there. But I mean, okay, Devontae, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall. Yes, I know the line still stinks, but for crying out loud, this goes back to the whole thing about why does Rodgers have to be so egocentric and not willing to adapt? He's old, playing a system that's easier on the quarterback, like a Shanahan style system.
Because he's a 40-year-old quarterback and he's old and he's not like that's
egomaniac.
That's on the Jets. Like you knew what you were getting here,
right? Exactly.
And I mean, in a way, I'm not blaming Aaron Rodgers for that. You knew who you were going to get, so build your team around that. Yeah, understanding you. Okay, fine. You're gonna have to bring in a whole lot of his guys, and that's not that great. Well, then. If you're still convinced that this is the best way to win, then cover for that with a lot of your other players. But doing that in the course of one season is almost impossible. If you're going to turn over your roster so much to bring in his guys, you're probably not going to be able to get rid of other guys that will counteract that quickly. That again, you can't do that in the NFL. Even with big roster turnovers, that's too much.
You know, when we went from Favre to Rodgers, when we went from Favre to Rodgers, and 2 years, was it 2 years? No, 3 years, 08, 09, and 10. And Rodgers won the Super Bowl in Favre's final year with the Vikings. It was like, okay, Packers won that trade, or Rodgers won,
Mm-hmm.
Even though they haven't won anything, it's only the second year. Is it clear that Green Bay has already won that trade?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's that bad.
It's, I mean, okay. The only asterisk is if, like we were saying with regard to the Eagles and their turnaround 13 years ago, that if the Jets go on this miracle run and they win the Super Bowl this year and the Packers never do, okay, yes, then we can switch that around. And also, if Aaron Rodgers is a key part of this, it's not like he gets injured and a journeyman quarterback comes in. Maybe Joe Flacco somehow gets cut from the Colts because someone gets stupid over there.
Okay, here we go. Is Joe Flacco a better quarterback right now than Aaron Rodgers?
Yes. There's two answers to that. Yes, obviously. And then if you really look at the quality of play, yeah, Rodgers is not playing terribly. It's more what he's done to the team. And this is the whole bigger picture thing that we've been discussing. Like right now, if you're just I know we're getting to box score scouting, which is also fantasy look. It's comparable. And Rodgers' stats are good. They're not great, but they're tolerable.
Mm-hmm.
But it's everything that goes around it. Like if you watch the games, which I don't, thank gosh, but also who he's brought in, the vibe around the team, that's tougher to quantify because we're filtered through all sorts of stories and et cetera, et cetera. We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
None of us listening to the show right now know exactly what's going on. And maybe we actually are all wrong. And there's another reason besides Aaron Charles Rodgers, but it's probably it based on everything we're seeing.
I'm looking at the rest of their schedule. They've only got, after tomorrow night's game, one more prime time game. And
thank gosh.
And it's a weird one though, too. And I wonder if it's going to get flexed out because it's Sunday Night Football, but it's Colts visiting the Jets on November 17th.
Well, given that the Colts were just flexed in,
mm-hmm.
And I know not that looks like a right now. That
it's
looks
the
like
Joe Flacco revenge game.
Against a Vikings team that suddenly looks damaged.
No, I'm talking about the Colts Jets.
Oh, right. Yes,
Flacco had the hot minute there.
Right, that's right. But yeah, this weekend Sunday Night Flex doesn't look that great. However, now that the Colts did just get flexed in, maybe the NFL's like. And again, I know the networks have their say too. They can
mm-hmm.
play some holds, and maybe they can't flex it out. I'd probably be more comfortable to do so. But let's see how Flacco does with the Colts, and maybe with Richardson's benching, that makes them that much better, akin to what we've seen Flacco do with other teams of late. But what if Rodgers were around for one more year, and Flacco leaves the Colts, makes a return to the Jets, brings the Jets, we're just dreaming here, brings them to a Super Bowl. See, now then you can't, I would not say, unless you can parse out the draft picks, then you can't say, see, Jets won it. No. This has to really be 98% of the reason has to be Aaron Rodgers.
This was I was thinking of this yesterday. It's not happening because I don't think mathematically it could ever happen. But there was a part of me who was thinking, it's like, okay, say Jets lose tomorrow night, they're 2-7. If take contracts out of the situation and dead money and all that, would Aaron Rodgers get traded before Tuesday's deadline?
Who was talking about that? I saw that brought up in the last couple of days.
And then part of me is like, I'm like, okay, what if, knock on wood, Jordan Love got really hurt and he was done for the year and the Packers are, I'm like, oh my God, would it happen? No, it wouldn't, but.
Could you find a way to trade Adams and Rodgers back to the Packers?
For a third-round pick.
It's the best.
We'll give you back a third-round pick because you've been trading third-round picks for everybody, so you could have a third-round pick.
I'm laughing at the absurdity of where this has all gone. That we're like, how would you have imagined 5 years ago, 2019, saying we're slightly legitimately discussing trading Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams back to the Packers for a third-round pick? If I had said that on this show 5 years ago, would your head have survived that comment?
Probably not.
But that's where we're at right now.
Yeah. Can you imagine? Okay, here we go. It could happen this way. Say Sam Darnold suffers a season-ending injury on Sunday.
Oh, no.
Vikings still win it, but they need a quarterback now.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh.
It could happen.
And now there's a short-term solution.
Yep. It could happen.
The revenge tour against the Packers. Oh, man.
He would not be playing at Lambeau because their next game's in Minnesota, but yeah.
Of course, it could be a playoff game. You never know how that goes.
Yeah. Oh, it could happen.
Rodgers to Jefferson.
Could happen.
Oh, but if he demands like Alan Lazard go over there or something like that.
Oh, I don't think he would be in any position. I shouldn't say that. It's
this is Aaron Rodgers.
Exactly. So, yeah. All right, Brandon. Not our Brandon Berg, another Brandon. I don't know if this is your top 5 or your guess at my top 5, but he's got Wilson and Carroll, Favre and Holmgren, Brady, Belichick, Bradshaw, Chuck Noll, Manning, Dungy. A lot of Manning, Dungy ones out there.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah. And that kind of goes with your criteria about defensive coach. And
yep. And also Manning's
so.
Overall quality. I think that happens anyway. With some of these quarterbacks, I'm reticent to do the connection because I think it was inevitable.
It's interesting. It's interesting that Brandon's 5 over there. Well, which one you take it out? He's got Roethlisberger and Tomlin, so you'd have to take someone up. But
there's another one, defense.
I was going to say all but one are defensive minded coaches and quarterbacks.
Also, to go against what I've been saying, that does not inherently rule out that combination.
Right.
You could have a defensive coach that also was really good with that particular quarterback, and if not for that coach, then that quarterback does not thrive. See, that's where I wonder a little bit with Noll and Bradshaw. Noll, I think broadly more defensive, but Bradshaw, and this is where the stats thing starts to come into play. Terry Bradshaw's stats are not that great.
No.
But quarterback play in the 70s was also a lot different. And they won. Again, that goes back to who was the legendary, and he just got on the Hall of Fame a few years ago, the Steelers personnel guy from the 1970s.
Oh,
and I know it's on the tip of my...
Yeah. I know who you're talking about.
The scout
for
the
I know what you're
Steelers.
talking
Bill
about,
Nunn.
Yes, thank you.
See, I mean, a lot of that is on Nunn. For finding the right people and getting the right combination. Terry Bradshaw is playing for the Broncos in the 1970s. Are we lumping him in with some of the kind of ish quarterbacks of that era? Like is his ceiling?
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't want to pick out one quarterback because then I'm going to have to make comparisons. Let's just say he wouldn't have been Terry Bradshaw.
Right.
It's the classic. Was he on the right team at the right time? And so was he coached up by Noll? But Noll coached up so many of those guys on that team.
Right.
None drafted him, but Noll coached him the right way. So you could go in several directions with that, but it's not a wrong answer.
Yeah. Interesting. Brandon, I'm interested because he's got Wilson and Carroll and, Roethlisberger and Tomlin. Why not Mahomes and Reed then, if you're going for more current ones?
Now, is that one where you start to go, well, Patrick Mahomes, like Peyton Manning, would have been so good anyway? And I think Mahomes has played enough now that I think we can start to say, yeah, he didn't necessarily need Andy Reid. He could have played on any team and been that good, like Peyton Manning.
Okay, if he would have played on Chicago, would he be that good if Chicago would have drafted him?
Ooh. Especially back when, see, now that's an interesting comparison. If we're talking like tire fire organizations, okay, and not necessarily front office, like what we said about like Arizona or Carolina, but like in Chicago where they're on-field stuff.
But I think we're seeing why coaches and organizations matter with a lot of these quarterbacks playing right now. One for you with Sam Darnold in Minnesota, I would say Jordan Love with Green. Look at these different quarterbacks who are now in actually good positions and having success.
I think the Bears have improved their on-field approach. It's really early to tell, but like I have a little more faith in them now than I would have like 5 years ago. Back to the early Mahomes era. Yeah, that probably would have screwed him up a little bit more. I still think he would have figured it out enough, but he also is not winning so many Super Bowls, and he would not have had a dynasty in Chicago either.
Right.
That's where the Reid thing comes into play. And I do think we've heard so many stories of the play calling and everything. Shout out Peter King. Thanks to Peter King for revealing a lot of that. We know so much more because of like the post-game things. And you go, oh yeah, they were that tight. That's where I rate those two so highly.
Mm-hmm. So like, the whole flip-flop then, like what if Mitch Trubisky got drafted by the Chiefs instead? Would Mitch Trubisky be still the starting quarterback for the Chiefs?
Probably not. And the Chiefs
but would he be in a better position?
Yes,
He would be.
but I don't think the Chiefs win a Super Bowl.
No, I don't either. But that kind of goes back to the whole thing. It takes both.
Right.
The head coach and the quarterback. That's
It
why
takes two to make things go rawhide.
That's why I don't like the conversation of like, was it Brady or Belichick? It's both.
Yeah.
It can be both.
In some cases, they work in tandem, but they would have been that way anyway.
It's not like they're trying to win in spite of each other. It's like, oh, Brady didn't win in spite of Belichick. So
yeah.
Although some people might say Packers and Rodgers won in spite of McCarthy. So
well, I mean,
I don't buy that one, but some might now. So.
But that goes back to the Mike McCarthy was a blobbing piece of jelly like Airplane 2, and it was all Aaron Rodgers.
Oh.
Stop.
Mark H, he's going, well, he's kind of cheating. He's got a tie for first. Favre, Holmgren, Montana Walsh, Theismann, and Gibbs. Marino and Shula, then Brady and Belichick, and Jim Kelly and Mark Levy.
Theismann Gibbs is an interesting one because Theismann had been around for a while. Gibbs shows up, and Washington gets really good.
Mm-hmm.
And they were dominant for a little while there.
I will say, first of all, that's not mine. There's one really big one people are constantly missing, and it's making me sad. If that gives a hint. So, there's one big one. So maybe that's where I'll have to go in a soapbox on Friday for the pod
All right.
and reveal it. But there's one big one that I thought was really obvious, but maybe not. Let's do some picks and predicts here. Brought to you by the Elbow Room. I haven't heard from my man Garrett over at the Elbow Room in a while. But Wednesday night's trivia, he might be his 49ers. They did win. Beat the Cowboys at least. So, sweet shirt. They got to wear those all the time, the 49ers throwbacks. Just saying. You saw that on Sunday night?
They're look,
the 90s ones. Come on.
See, they're good, but they already have a classic look.
But I love those 90s ones, man.
Now that's more your nostalgia. See, the current look is more of an 80s, not an 80s nostalgia, but that's what I grew up with. So I understand where you're coming from on that.
Yep,
It makes sense.
That gives me the visions of Cowboys 49ers.
Yep. See, those are your formative years. So I totally understand where you're coming from on that.
Really quick, as it's picks and predicts brought to you by the Elbow Room. We only got about a minute here. So before we get to the World Series, we got a couple of NBA games. Might as well throw this one. LeBron returning to Cleveland for how many times? I don't know, but Cleveland's pretty good. Lakers at Cleveland.
Cavs.
I'm going to go Cavs too. Boston at Indiana.
I think Indiana gets one win there. Sure, I know they have one already, but they'll get the win.
I'll go Boston. The Pat Riley Bowl. Knicks, Miami. Jeff Van Gundy is going to be riding some people's legs.
Let's take wow. Memories. Knicks.
Yeah, I'm going to go Knicks here too. So, and then let's do World Series Game 5. Two of them. One is Freddie Freeman going to hit another home run, and who wins?
No, but can you rule it out?
I said no yesterday, and he did. So,
the Dodgers played the bullpen thing for tonight. It's kind of a risky move. I think we're due for Flaherty to not have as good of a game, Cole to have a better game. I think the Yankees win. I still think, however, the Dodgers win the World Series. Like I can't remember if that's what I predicted in the first place. I think the Dodgers win the World Series, but it's going to be in LA.
Freddie does not. Just stop pitching to him, and force Ohtani and bets. Yankees win. So we're the same.
Yankees win.
Yeah, Yankees win. Have a good day. We'll be back at it tomorrow morning.